Welcome to We Need Wrestling. I'm DJ. I think you may have heard three people here this week. If you've been paying attention, Brett is not here. So I've recruited maybe the next best duo in the soon-to-be-named network, depending on who you ask. But both Michelle and Tatum are here, my fellow Wings on Wings cast members.
Hell yeah.
Hello.
You both graciously agreed to come on this show.
I begged.
And do something.
And talk about wrestling.
Right. Michelle's favorite thing, wrestling.
Love it so much.
I'm so excited to be pulling you in deeper.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I don't know that you're ever going to like wrestling.
I'm not.
But I think
I do know. I'm not.
You understand it a little bit.
I don't understand why people like it.
Io Sky put a garbage can over her
so
head
mean.
and jumped off the top of a cage again this week.
I mean,
you like Io. You like Asuka.
Yeah, that's true.
Shinsuke Nakamura's back in the WWE.
I didn't watch any of that.
No.
I watched AEW Dynamite.
You did, which is what we'll be talking about mainly here. I do have two surprises for the end of the show, where I called in some more troops because Brett's not here, so I didn't want to have to do a ton of work. But to start the show off, before we get into wrestling, we have to do, Michelle, you don't listen to podcasts.
No.
Nor do you listen to this podcast.
No.
But Tatum knows what we're about to do. We're about to do Marcus's favorite segment of this show.
Oh.
Marcus fucking loves banter.
Banter.
So we need to drag this on as long as we can.
What's this mean?
We talk about...
Small
How
talk.
are you this week, Michelle?
How are things?
Oh man, that's a loaded question.
is.
No, I don't like that's let's talk about God, let me think about I'm
beginning to think that Michelle and Marcus are on the same train.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of something good and literally my brain broke. Let's talk about a positive thing, and I was like, I don't know what.
So Marcus hates small talk and banter on podcasts. So across the Soon Network, we've all adopted banter sections at the beginning of the show to make him happy. We're trying to turn him to the banter side. So
I agree with Marcus. Just get down to business.
Why?
I don't know. I don't have a good reason for that. Okay. It's because I don't have anything positive to talk about in banter this week. So,
okay, Tatum, how are you?
I'm doing really well.
Great.
I think that Michelle's all bantered out because I did do her hair today. So we've already spent 3 hours together this morning.
Right.
That's true.
And then had a whole afternoon.
It was glorious.
It was glorious.
Tatum, what happens, do you run into non-talkative people when you're cutting hair? When you're you're more than cutting hair.
Yeah, sometimes. And I do have some clients who request silent appointments.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have one person who he thinks that it's like the most meditative, relaxing time while he's getting his hair cut. Mm-hmm. So he comes in, we shampoo his hair, and he literally puts in earplugs and closes his eyes and just chills for the whole time.
Oh.
Not me. I haven't relaxed in 25 years.
Yeah. That's almost like what I do with the dentist, only I don't do the earplugs. I close my eyes and I usually cry.
Yeah.
When the dentist, it's not meditative at all. It's the opposite of that. Is it awkward though to have someone that doesn't talk?
No, sometimes it's relieving.
Okay.
People sit in my chair and tell me things that they would never even tell a therapist.
Absolutely.
So sometimes it's nice to not hear about your mistress or how...
Now, I've never told you about my mistress.
No.
You've also never cut my hair.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Crystal told me, though.
Okay. The problem with Crystal does cut my hair, and she doesn't listen to this, but you can't help but talk when Crystal cuts your hair.
No,
I don't think Crystal could handle a silent appointment.
No.
I love her so much, but I don't think she could.
Impossible.
She is one of my best friends, and I don't think that we have spent 5 silent minutes together in the 10 years that we've been friends.
Yeah. It's almost the opposite when I go to see Crystal, and I don't go enough, as you can tell. If you're looking at me, I feel awkward when I don't talk because I know that she's expecting conversation, and she's wonderful and great. So it's an easy conversation, but I'm at times
she'll start
not
one.
the most talkative person.
Yeah. She came to one of my political events last year. And she was talking very loudly, and she was cursing a lot.
As one does.
That's also a thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Pennsylvania State Representative Eddie Dapashinsky, our state representative, said, "You curse a lot."
Yeah.
I think about that a lot.
And she probably said, "Fuck yeah, I do."
Yep. Well, and Eddie was her choir teacher, so she knew Eddie.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, I was there.
Yes.
Yes. Do you remember when he said that?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
It was really funny.
It is very funny when I'm getting my haircut at the barbershop at Crystal, and there's children getting a haircut, and there's no filter on that lady.
Try going out to breakfast with her.
Yeah.
Love
breakfast
her so much.
Traditionally the least cursing meal of the day.
Yeah. Breakfast fucks.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good name for a podcast.
Breakfast does fuck.
There you go.
Yeah. How about you, DJ? How are you this week?
Wonderful. I mean, I'll say it on air here. We are well broke. So we have
a brand new well pump.
We have a brand new well pump, and everybody wants to know what a well pump costs. So we went without water just for a weekend. You could see the remnants of it sitting in our emergency apocalypse water supply. But we live in the woods. So.
We woke up on Black Friday with no water.
No water.
And lots of Thanksgiving dishes left.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, as I told Tatum earlier, Michelle's lucky that she's married to a scumbag who doesn't shower, so it wasn't that big of an inconvenience for me. I just waited out the 4 days.
Dude wipes sponsor us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't use them up. You can't flush them up here with the septic. So they say septic safe, but they're not really. That's a lie.
None of them really
throw
are.
them in the garbage.
Throw them away.
Well, yeah, that's true. Did you guys see the viral TikTok clip about the dude? And again, this is WeNeedWrestling, everybody. About the dude that like is talking to the lady, and he's like talking about like taking shits, and he was like, well, like you take a shit, you're gonna touch poop, and she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, if you shit, you touch poop, and she's like, no, there's toilet paper, and he's like, what are you talking about? Like you don't like catch the shit as it comes out. And she was like, excuse me?
This can't be real.
And
did she call the police? I'd call the police. I'd be like, excuse me, 911, like, I have an emergency.
Everybody in the comments was like, somebody played an awful prank on this guy and never told him it was a prank. Like, yeah, this dude claimed that like when he shits, he like catches it and then has shit all over his hands every time he shits.
No, he should just...
He's fucking with her, or
Maybe.
He's completely feral.
Yeah, could be.
Like Jeannie.
Yeah.
The feral child.
That's true. But, sometimes toilet paper breaks, but, like, it's still there as a barrier. But anyway, I think that's banter enough. I think we should get into what everybody really wants to talk about this week, is that Michelle talking and reviewing AEW Dynamite that she absolutely watched with me and took notes for about 20 minutes of until I had to remind her in the last 20 minutes of the show that she stopped taking notes.
I can't fucking wait.
But is there any wrestling news that you guys want to talk about? See? Tatum listens.
No.
No?
There's no wrestling news.
Okay, you don't want to talk about Ricky Starks?
News.
I don't want to talk about any wrestling news.
You want to talk about Ryan Nemeth, Hollywood hunk?
You know what wrestling news that I'm still salty about?
Okay, let's go for it.
Linda McMahon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
And I still also...
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Future senator.
He better stay out of that whole mess.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not going to.
No, he's absolutely not going
I've already told DJ what's going to happen if...
Yeah, Hulkamania is going to run wild, brother.
If Hulk Hogan gets appointed to a cabinet position, I've already told DJ I'm doing a murder-suicide. And he said, wait, am I the murder? And I said, yes, unless you want to be the suicide.
Yeah. She said I was the murder part. He's not going to get a cabinet position. He's going to be the new senator out of Florida. Mm-hmm. Or representative when he takes Matt Gaetz' position or whatever. Whoever.
Yeah.
Or Rubio. No, is
Marco
Rubio from Florida?
Is from Florida.
Rubio.
That's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, but there's already somebody who's going to be taking that. There's already a whole thing. I'll tell you about that later. We'll talk about that after.
Oh, okay.
We Need Wrestling.
We Need Wrestling After Dark.
Or you could ask to guest on
Profane Argument.
Profane Arguments.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I Googled wrestling news.
I'm so happy you did.
And the first page has nothing on Ryan Nemeth. Did you see the Ryan Nemeth controversy?
I did.
First page of Google?
Of Google.
Did you go to the second page?
No, I don't go to the second page.
Nobody does. I was wondering what was out over there.
No. But Ricochet said some things on a podcast that are stupid, but it's fine. It's getting blown out of proportion. Brody King has answered David Finley's challenge for Wrestle Dynasty. Michelle, how do you feel about that?
What?
Exactly. Brody King, big tattooed guy, lead singer of God's Hate. We watched him wrestle last night, remember? He's wrestling in Japan for Wrestle Dynasty.
From God's Hate, for
there
sure.
That's exciting.
Yes, it's very cool. I like Brody King.
Oh, it was good news?
I like
it's
good
news.
Yeah, it's good news.
Yeah, I don't know if
he's
ever wrestled in Japan before.
Oh.
I don't know.
I wouldn't know that.
I don't think he has. And if he has, there's going to be a little more prominent. So, so Michelle, Wrestle Kingdom comes up on January 1st, the biggest New Japan big show of the year. And then the day after, they're doing Wrestle Dynasty, which is another crossover with AEW. So it's a lot of AEW versus New Japan people.
Wrestle Kingdom sounds like Ozu, where they make retired wrestlers live.
That should exist.
Mm-hmm. You know, there was a reality show.
Kids, would you get in the car? We're going to go to Wrestle Kingdom.
Called Celebrity Rehab.
Well,
make sure you get your wrestler feed over there. Here's a quarter.
That's steroids as wrestler feed.
It is.
The next logical step.
They're retired wrestlers, so it's steroids and oxy.
Ooh, yeah, somas really. They still make somas? I don't know. But they did there was a wrestling reality show where they moved a bunch of old wrestlers into a house together and made them live.
What could go wrong?
Everything. Everything went wrong. Roddy Piper was on it. Pat Patterson. I think Mean Gene Okerlund, maybe. I don't remember who else.
Give it time. That's how we're all going to pay rent someday.
Yeah. But let's see what else. What else? I'm going to go to the second thing here because on the second down on the second page was the situation about Ryan Nemeth. Tatum, did you see anything about Ryan Nemeth this week?
No.
You don't know who Ryan Nemeth is, do you?
Nope, sure
Nobody does. You know who Nick Nemeth is?
I know the name. Is that, is he an announcer for?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
He was Dolph Ziggler. Do you know Dolph Ziggler from the WWE?
No.
Dolph Ziggler was in the WWE for a long time. Whoa. And, whew.
I don't know what any of this means.
Right? And he got let go from the WWE after a very long run. He's very famous for dating Amy Schumer.
Oh, okay.
If you watch Trainwreck, was that the name of the movie? With the John Cena part?
Yeah.
Was sort of kind of based. She said that the reason why she broke up with him was because the sex was too athletic.
Okay.
I get.
But so he's now wrestling as Nick Nemeth. His younger brother, I think younger, was in AEW, but like not a popular guy in any way, named Ryan Nemeth, the Hollywood hunk. And he came out this week and claimed that CM Punk was bullying him when CM Punk was in AEW, which is now over a year ago.
Oh, yeah. Wait, I did hear something about this.
And that AEW didn't do anything about it. And, you know, he was...
But they fired him.
Right. And
I'm still so confused.
So he's looking for money. He was offered an NDA to not speak about it. And then they pulled the NDA. And then he was let go. His contract wasn't renewed. And he's now suing for money. And he said that he went through like emotional damage and had to get therapy and all that to get over the fact that CM Punk bullied him, and then CM Punk asked AEW to take Ryan Nemeth off some shows because Punk and him didn't get along, and he was essentially a job guy. He was lower card. He was never really on the regular show, and if he was, it was in really low rung positions where he would just get beat up.
Okay.
And he's not super talented. But now he's trying to make headway and asking for money because he feels he was bullied by CM Punk, and they didn't do anything about it. But as Michelle said, they did do something about it. They fired CM Punk.
Right.
That's been all over. Everyone knows that happened. And he's like, well, they didn't fire him specifically because of me. And they're like, well, no, they fired him because of his backstage antics and problems that the company perceived.
Which this was a part of.
Part of which
could be a whole part of it. But like, I think he's just sort of a, dare I say, talentless guy that wants a paycheck because the wrestling world there's not a lot of opportunity there for him right now.
Right.
So that's like making the rounds, but clearly it's not popular enough to be beyond the number 2 thing down on the second page of Google when I Google pro wrestling news.
Right.
So not that big of a deal, but it is out there. So we'll see how that shakes out. Probably nowhere. I think a lot of people think that Tony Khan and AEW will just like do what WWE does typically in the past and just give you hush money to not talk about it anymore, like just go away.
Right.
And because there's other people suing AEW also over being let go because they no-showed some shows and whatever, and they're saying they were mistreated and unfairly let go or whatever. And they very much just wanted a payout. And Tony Khan was like, yeah, no, we're going to... You're going to see my lawyer. We're going to do this. Well, and then they tried to get it moved to a different state. And Tony was like, yeah, well, we're not. You're going to we'll go. Let's go. I'll see you in court. So, because Vince in the WWE previously in the past, very famous for writing hush money checks for a plethora of reasons.
What were you going to say, Tatum?
No, was there... I don't know. Did they talk about that on Final Wrestling Place this week? Or was it something about like people booking shows but then canceling last minute?
This Final Wrestling Place this week was the other big thing, which we talked about a little bit last week, but it was the Ricky Starks stuff. Where Ricky Starks got pulled from an indie show over the comments of one of the indie wrestlers.
Okay,
and
so
blah, blah, blah.
kind of backwards over it.
Yeah, a little different. That is a whole thing. I think Brett and I might have talked about that last week a little bit.
Yeah.
And we did. And I like Ricky. And the guys on Final Wrestling Place went way more in depth than we did on it.
So if you're looking for more in-depth coverage, go listen to Final Wrestling Place.
But I think there's some developments from after Dynamite this week that I don't want to spoil because they technically don't air until about now as we're recording.
Right.
But it looks like maybe it was all a bit of a work.
Yeah.
Or at least Tony Khan is making some moves and definitely working with some people from GCW, which is the company that he pulled Ricky Starks from.
Right.
So I don't know. But we'll see.
So the one thing is, like, AEW isn't really like $1 billion company yet.
They are valued at $2 billion. Yes.
Or that's their valuation. Yes. But like, what is WWE's?
I have no idea.
So much more. So like, I would imagine that like it's easier to settle all these big lawsuits as WWE. AEW, like, you don't necessarily have the history of like the company history yet to do that.
I'm looking right now because it's Buggy being a pain in the butt. Let's see. This is from April. And WWE's a little harder because of the TKO takeover. But the merger is valued at $21 billion. With the pro wrestling promotion being valued at 9.3. So there you go. So that's that was that was September of 2023. As of now, this is April of this year, says that WWE is valuation at $6.8 billion.
Oh, so it went down.
And the UFC's 11.3. So yes. Sorry. That was Kincannon. Maybe more from him later. But yeah. So that's like that's what you're saying, Michelle, that it's easier for WWE to WWE has absolute killers in legal teams.
Right, like they have this really well-established legal team. They have like really well-established like company precedent where they've, handled things certain ways. Like AEW is new to that. So like they're not going to just settle things as much. They're going to try to like set company precedents and set like, get their legal team involved, and it's just going to be a little bit different because they're not as old of a company. Right.
And they are sort of, everything that's coming at AEW is very much viewed as frivolous. So much so that the one filing from earlier in the year, like the official filing had like multiple misspellings in the filing.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure
they're money grabs.
I'm sure WWE gets their fair share of frivolous lawsuits too, but like they probably just have better mechanisms by which to like put those to bed before they even come out.
I mean, WWE puts to bed the frivolous ones, the unfrivolous ones, the disgusting ones, the real ones, the everything ones. Allegedly, I guess, is the way I should follow that up. But yeah, so that's sort of the everything for the news. I don't know if there's anything else, unless you gals have some news segments that you want to talk about that you saw this week.
The only wrestling news that I have only pertains to people that are on our Discord. I'm really sorry. My brother will not be guesting tonight.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
So close. Maybe one day. When the statute of limitations are up, maybe. Yeah. So you guys only really watched Dynamite this week.
Yeah, I watched Collision a little bit on Saturday night. It was like on, but I wasn't deeply invested.
Did you watch any of War Games, the WWE Survivor Series War Games? It was the double cage, double ring pay-per-view this weekend.
I watched the pay-per-view.
The WWE pay-per-view this weekend?
Oh, no.
There was a thing that Michelle will not watch, and I will not show her, but Bronson Reed jumped off the top of a cage to go through a table and landed feet first and broke both his ankles.
Yes, I did hear about that.
Yeah, so, I like Bronson Reed, so, good luck to him in his seemingly long recovery.
Yeah.
It's very similar. Edge did it in AEW. He jumped off the top of the cage and broke his leg. Bronson, a much different statured gentleman. And yeah, both of his ankles went kablooey, supposedly.
Yeah.
So that's tough. That's tough. And it apparently fast-tracked Drew McIntyre's return to the company because they needed to fill that spot because he's out for a long time. So, but Bronson Reed, as I say on the show all the time, he should have stayed in New Japan. You had something going there, but he took that WWE money and, good for him. He's getting paid.
Yeah.
But when he was in New Japan briefly, they had him beat Okada in New Japan. And that's basically like the signal of like, you're the guy. Like, we're going to, and then he left to go when WWE came calling. He got fired, went to New Japan. They had him beat Okada, and then he left again when Vince left and Triple H got in charge. He got the call and he went back to WWE.
Okay.
And now both of his ankles are broken. So, causation does not equal correlation, though, I guess. Or vice versa. Is that how that phrase goes, Michelle? There's a correlation doesn't mean causation? I don't know. Whatever. But all right.
But there is no correlation or causation there. It just happened to the same person.
So you're saying I'm talking out my ass?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, I'm not saying that. You're saying that, but I'm not.
Not saying
I'm
that?
not saying that.
Okay. So let's get down to the proper business, the brass tacks of what I brought you both here to do, which is talk about AEW Dynamite. So Collision, let me back that up again and say Collision was good. Nothing crazy to talk about. Really quick, Juice Robinson got hurt on Collision, so he's out of the Continental Classic.
I did see that.
He had a great match with Ospreay.
Yep.
I was like so excited. I was like, I hope people watch this and see how good Juice is. He wasn't going to take a lot of wins. Like he was definitely gonna lose some matches. But he's hurt, so they replaced him with Commander.
So
they broke his leg.
Is that what happened?
Yeah,
I don't know.
he broke his leg.
That's a bummer. Juice
but
is
his
great.
wife just retired, so they'll
That's
have
true.
some time at home together now.
That's true. Tony Storm is retired. The tits are in, and don't watch for the shoe. Chin down, tits in. Don't bother watching for the shoe, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only following about 15% of what the two of you are saying here.
Good. I like it. This does tie into Dynamite, but there is a Mariah May promo where she gives Mina a chance at everything she's ever wanted. I skipped that match. Let's see. I don't need that. Fletcher Mortos was very good.
Yeah. I like Mortos.
I love Mortos. He's very, very good. I hope he has some good show in the Continental Classic.
Yeah.
Max Caster cuts a promo which ties into Dynamite really quick. He's terrible. I hate him.
Like, what the fuck is he thinking?
Yeah, that's the rapper that wrestled Swerve on Dynamite.
Oh.
He said he's going to sue Swerve for attacking him and ripping his jacket. That he hasn't talked to the other members of the Acclaimed since the pay-per-view, but because he's the leader of the Acclaimed, he knows that they have his back.
I thought that
which is not true. It's a heel turn.
I
coming.
thought the ass guy is the leader of.
No, I mean that's just Daddy Ass. That's Billy Gunn. He might be the best member of the
He's their
Acclaimed.
dad. That's the leader.
That's true.
Aren't dads usually the leaders? I don't know. I didn't have one.
Yeah, that's not not how that. Not in my experience. Not in my experience at all. Let's see what else happened. We had some teas with the Hangman and King Switch stuff. Let's see, and then we had Okada versus Danny Garcia as the main event, which I thought was really good. It was Okada sort of starting to step back into being serious.
Yeah.
Because the Young Bucks are gone, and it goes to a draw.
I saw that. I did watch that match, and I saw the end of it. I think that was like a good way for it to end because Garcia has been more present.
Yes.
And Okada can't just come back and be back on top automatically.
Yes.
So I understood that.
Yeah.
And it is nice to see him not with the Young Bucks because
It's very nice.
so fucking dumb.
Yes. No Jack Perry. Like all that is really
Yeah.
nice. The nice thing, the similar to what you're saying with Garcia. So Garcia just beat Jack Perry for the TNT title.
Yes.
So he's a champion in this tournament. You don't want him to lose a bunch.
Exactly.
And it puts the Continental title, which I don't think should be a title. I think it should be a trophy.
Right.
And then you could either, if you wanted to give somebody a shot at a title for winning it, that's fine. But I think it should be a trophy because they haven't really defended it anyway.
I agree.
And there's too many titles in all the professional wrestling, but AEW particular.
Yeah.
So I like that it's sort of perception is that TNT and the Continental title are sort of on a similar level, which maybe isn't great. Maybe you want one to find a little higher. But again, also Okada, like you said, isn't ramped up to being like this is his first match not calling someone a bitch and laughing at them.
Right.
So like he is ramping up to be more serious again in the Okada I hope that we all love. So
yeah,
I thought that was cool.
him.
And it's good for Garcia because Garcia is a talented guy. There was talks of him leaving. And AEW did give him some money to stay. So they're like, all right, well, we're gonna see if this works and try and make sure that this works and get you over and make you more of a centerpiece because he's a good guy. Michelle, you okay? Is this a wrestling
Michelle
related
is
face?
Yeah, it is because she's actually looking up the roster right
I was
now
trying
to see who we're talking about.
I was trying to
and
understand who you were
much.
talking about, but then I got distracted because I think this guy is pinching his nipples.
Oh yeah, that's Mark Quinn. Yeah, he definitely is. That's Private Party. That is these photos are incredibly photoshopped and very poorly. Like these are like Danny Garcia's isn't so much, but the Private Party one is photoshopped like as if they were Kardashians.
Well, I tried. Here's him pinching his nipple in an awkward way. I tried to understand who you were talking about, and I had a hard time.
You do know Okada.
Yeah.
Yes, and he was actually on here.
Yeah, so is Garcia. You just didn't go down far enough.
Garcia was too.
No, I don't want to shop. Get me out of here. Oh, it took me to Jared. I don't know what I hit.
That's a hint. I don't think Garcia was on Dynamite, so that's probably why you don't know who I'm talking about, because I don't think he was there this week.
But I just found him.
Yeah, that guy right there. Red Death, Danny Garcia.
All right, I'm just going to leave this.
He does the hip
Yeah,
dance.
leave that open.
Okay.
I'm gonna start Googling the wrestlers that you're talking about, so
that's
I know
fine.
who they are.
You know who's a very famous wrestler that you can Google, who's known for her left hook punch.
I don't believe any of what you're gonna say, but go ahead.
If you want to know more about Ronda Rousey, you can Google Ronda Rousey hook, and it'll tell you all you need to know about her. That's not true. She's since come to her senses about Ronda Rousey was a Sandy Hook denier.
Yeah.
I don't have room in my life for Sandy Hook.
But she's since turned it around and said that she was caught in something that she shouldn't have been caught in, and has turned that around a little bit. But anyway, do you want to talk about Dynamite, Michelle? What would you like to talk about on Dynamite?
Let's talk about Dynamite.
Dynamite?
Yeah.
Would you rather name Pokemon?
No.
Why not?
Because they all sound like they have cum names.
Such as?
I don't know. One was like the Guzzler, and like one was
the Guzzler.
And another one was Squirtle. Mm-hmm. They're gross.
Okay.
And then the one was like shaped like a vibrator. I don't know. They're gross.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you want to talk about on Dynamite? I'll let you lead.
You're making me lead?
I'm not making you. I'm letting you.
My notes are pathetic.
Well, whose fault is that?
It's my fault.
Wait, what does your first note say?
It says wrestling is dumb.
Yes.
And then my second...
Do you care to elaborate?
No.
Okay.
And then my second note says, why do wrestlers spend so much time wandering around? Because they were just wandering around in the ring, outside the ring, everywhere. I don't know. They were just wandering up the ramp, down the ramp. Like, I don't even know what they're doing. Why are they just wandering around? Nobody knows what they're doing. And then fucking Green Jeans is just wandering around outside.
Green Jeans is Yuta.
Yes. Right. So the Wandering is Shelton Benjamin versus Kyle Fletcher because they did a lot of like.
Most of my notes are about that match, then I sort of zoned out.
Yes, and then I had to remind you to take notes.
Yes, so, and then I have 2 other notes about one other singular match.
So they did do a lot of like sort of backing away from each other because it's the first time they had met. They're both dangerous, both similar guys. Shelton Benjamin, newish to the company, but a fantastic wrestler and a hell of a handsome man.
Oh, respectfully.
See, as I said last week to Brett, and Brett cleared it, so I was allowed to say this on a podcast, and I did not get canceled. But black don't crack, Michelle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brett cleared that?
Yeah.
Brett in...
Your other white friend? Okay.
Well, he is an anomaly. So... he knows what I'm talking about.
Marcus, we're going to need you to weigh in on this.
Yeah. But Shelton Benjamin, you're going to say that Shelton Benjamin's not handsome?
Listen, that man is 50 years old or so.
49.
Is he 49?
49.
Pretty
sure.
I would marry him tomorrow.
Me too.
He was a handsome guy, especially in comparison. So what I noticed about him and the guy wrestling him is that...
Kyle Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Kyle Fletcher, like, straight on looked good, but his profile wasn't very good.
Okay.
But, like, Shelton
Benjamin
has
you couldn't even write down the names of people.
I didn't.
They put the names on the screen.
I just need to...
They didn't.
All the time.
I just need to let all of the listeners know that when we were talking about this before we hit record, she said, who were you guys talking about? Charlton Heston?
Yes. Yeah. And also, just so you know, this is Kyle Fletcher's girlfriend, Sky Blue. Also a wrestler.
I like
Sky
that she's
Blue's not
very
a wrestler.
Well,
she's very
that
committed
one.
to the
yes,
blue.
this Sky Blue, different Sky Blue.
Different Sky Blue.
Yeah.
Shelton Benjamin looked good in both profile and straight on.
He looks good from every direction.
All the angles.
All the angles. Okay, so what did you think about that match?
Most of what I was focused on was how orange the one man was.
Yeah, what does your note say?
That he should exfoliate so that he doesn't end up with orange elbows and because he's a dry bitch.
So there you do have a problem. AEW does have a problem with their fake tanner. Either it's I think it's lighting it. I don't think they know how to light people who
but
fake tan themselves
also,
to a
if
certain
they
level.
fucking exfoliated, it wouldn't
bunch
like,
up on...
Is that how that works?
Orange patches. Yeah, it's sticking to all your driest skin.
Oh, yeah, so
what
like,
that
I
means
couldn't
is like,
fake tan at
no,
all.
because you have dry ass elbows, and I'm constantly telling you.
Soft.
I'm constantly...
Feel that. It's softer than it usually is.
No, it looks
That's
like
ashy
it
as fuck.
looks
I can see it from
terrible.
here.
It feels terrible.
It's better than it usually is.
No,
Call me
it's
Ashy Larry.
awful. So, like, if you exfoliated, like I always told you to, and then, like, use an exfoliant, but also use a washcloth there, and then put lotion on it.
White people don't
use washcloths.
Well, we have a whole basket of them.
Yeah, they're for company.
I use the washcloths all the time, but okay. But
I used the last time I used a washcloth was when before going to a wrestling show, I showered at Joe Sposto's house.
Feel my
and to
fucking
save
elbow.
his soap from my nethers, I used the washcloth.
Feel my elbow. You're a dry bitch too. Just like Kyle,
this is
whatever his
Fletcher.
name is, Fletcher.
I almost said O'Reilly. You've got me confused.
No, that comes later.
I'm like JR. Sassafras. Too many people with the same name in this company.
Kyle O'Reilly comes later.
If they would exfoliate, moisturize, and use a better quality self-tanner, and then also probably light it better. But those main 3 things would improve their pumpkininess.
My brain is trying to come up with a pun for exfoliating involving Mick Foley, and I just can't figure it out.
It's not there. Give it up.
Okay.
Move on.
How about back to this match?
Okay.
So, I was so pissed off at the end of it.
This is you two. This is for you two to discuss.
So, because was it this match where I was like, that match was really good, and you were like, oh, was it? That was a good wrestling match?
It was so fucking long, and
it was a different one because she told me about it earlier today, and I can't wait to get to that because she was describing the person.
Okay. Oh, all right. I know which one it was.
Yeah.
But I thought this was really good. But yeah, Fletcher, that rapscallion, grabbed the ropes to win.
Yeah, that really pissed me off.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've made this clear or not, but I'm kind of a Shelton Benjamin fan.
Okay. Me too.
Yeah.
I like Fletcher a lot, though, too.
I mean, I do too.
Yeah.
I don't dislike him.
Fletcher's half his age.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, he's half his age,
Yes.
and the athleticism of this, and
Yes.
so Benjamin was a football player, right? And also
and
track and wrestling.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's just an all around athlete.
So he went to college with Brock Lesnar. So
Brock Lesnar went to college.
Brock Lesnar still holds a ton of NCAA wrestling records.
Oh, I forgot about going to college because
Shelton Benjamin, they were on the team together, and then they started training wrestling together.
Right.
And they were like the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, maybe something like that, or Stretching Crew. But so those guys have been around to each other for a very long time. So they're both freak athletes. Shelton Benjamin, in my opinion, is a better wrestler, but not better at the big moments. Like Lesnar,
Right.
Lesnar's better at the big sort of, big time, big stage moments. Shelton never really got that shot, but he's super talented. And also, this is only like his third or fourth match back in AEW, like in AEW, not back in AEW. And I thought he was going to win because they've been keeping him pretty strong.
Yeah.
And they still did. That's why they had Fletcher grab the ropes. It's so that Shelton doesn't lose clean. So it's like, well, Fletcher wins, but he had to cheat to beat this guy. And they're both bad guys.
And he's just getting over right now.
Yes.
So
Fletcher has a good shot of winning this whole thing.
Yeah.
He's really heating up. In memory of Wings on Wings, I'm going to eat on microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have snacks on snacks in front of us. Because Michelle is a marvelous host.
Brett's going to be mad because we never have snacks when him and I record.
Sorry.
Well, it's usually late. But I really like this match. We'll see where Fletcher goes. Like I said, he has a really good shot of winning this thing, or at least making it to the playoff kind of thing. Because the way they're telling, in case you didn't know, in case you're interested, she's not even looking at me.
She's looking him up.
They're doing the two brackets for the Continental Classic, blue and gold. Remember you asked me about that, why that meant that. They're doing, it's not winner versus winner. It's going to be winner versus runner up and winner versus runner up, and then those two face in the finals for the winner. It's a little convoluted, but Fletcher's got a good shot at one of those positions for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Where else are we going?
Oh man,
What happened next?
What was the next match?
Next was the Hook came out to challenge Christian Cage for, he was like, how about right now, for what you did to my dad and whatever.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I've never seen Christian Cage do a goddamn thing by himself. It's always like his people do shit.
Yeah.
This guy was on the show?
What?
Hook, yeah.
Yeah.
That's Taz's son.
Yeah. And Christian, your favorite.
And
you love Christian.
Oh, I do remember when they came out.
Yeah.
Who's Taz?
Oh my God. You just killed everyone.
So
you wouldn't know. He's on commentary. He used to be a wrestler in ECW, but he got jumped backstage a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And had to go for surgery in the hospital because they jumped him so bad that both of his knees are bad. Excuse me. And he needs knee replacement surgery because of it.
Yeah.
Okay. You understand what I'm saying there? Mm-hmm. All right. He sings songs on commentary and sings their entrance music. He's hilarious.
He's my favorite.
He's amazing.
He's hilarious.
He's 6 foot tall, but only when he stands on his wallet. He's from Red Hook. Yeah. And he says brother a lot.
Is that why his son is named Hook?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Taz's real name is Peter Sinercha. He was the Tasmaniac when he started wrestling. No, nothing.
But
was it in the 90s?
So Christian Cage comes out with his metal clipboard all dented still and whatever.
Yeah, from the pay-per-view.
And, of course, then has everybody jump Hook, and then it's 4-on-1, and then...
Hook has no friends.
Kip
Sabian is involved. I'm not the biggest Hook fan.
Yeah.
I think Hook was really popular at one point, but got really exposed in the ring when they tried to make him do more.
Yeah.
And not that he's untalented, I just think he needs a lot of polish.
I think so
And
too,
they
but
keep
he's also
bringing him out.
super young, right?
He's very young, yeah.
Is he even 20 or is he like 21?
He's got to be in his 20s by now.
If I click him, it doesn't tell me more, so I don't know.
He's 25. He was born in 1999.
Okay.
Oh my God. So, people who were born in 1999 or 25, logically, mathematically, that makes sense to me. But hearing it, it's shock.
More importantly, his father is Taz, but his cousin is Chris Chetty. So that's
Chris Chetty?
Chris Chetty, yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'm not going to ask
that's fine.
more questions.
That's fine. You don't have to.
So then...
Yes.
So then we've got... I'm just moving on from this.
That's fine.
Is that fine?
You guys lead wherever you want to go. This is... I set this all up so I take a back seat. So
then we cut to backstage and Mercedes is walking up and Miss Renee, respectfully...
respectfully to both, Mercedes, while maybe not the favorite of some on the soon-to-be-named network. You hate her too?
Yeah, me and Marcus.
Why?
I can't stand her.
Yeah, you're just jumping on that bandwagon for no reason.
No, actually, I'm not. I think that she's annoying. I don't like the way that she holds and presents herself.
Okay. You know that she's Snoop Dogg's cousin for real?
Yeah. And I know that her uncle is Eddie Guerrero.
That's not true. That's all fake.
Or whatever.
That's her dad.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Because she loves to bring up Eddie Guerrero all the time and dress like him. So she had a really great match at the pay-per-view with Chris Statlander.
She did.
I loved that match. It was maybe the best match on that card.
Yeah, it was, and I didn't want to admit it.
Michelle had a point about Mercedes when we were watching.
I did? What was it?
Do you need me to show you the outfit she was wearing? Do you remember now?
Oh, her boobs were just really pushed up last night.
Oh yeah, they were.
And she was very sparkly.
Yeah.
She's typically very sparkly.
She is.
Sometimes I wonder how she does what she does with that amount of rhinestones.
Yeah.
I mean, she is good.
Yeah.
I don't like her.
Okay, that's fine.
I could see that, though, because she's got kind of just a shitty attitude.
Yes, she has a shitty attitude.
Yeah.
And
she seems to have one in person, too.
I am so sorry, Brett. I am sitting in your seat right now, and I'm just going to say out loud, I fucking hate the CEO dance. So anyway, my favorite part of
Did you see her do it with the Rizzler? She taught the Rizzler
so
the
dumb.
CEO dance.
So dumb. Anyway, my favorite piece of this was how tired of Mercedes Miss Renee is.
Miss Renee is the best.
She's
fantastic.
Fantastic. Yes. She's basically like rolling her eyes, and that's my favorite. Yeah.
I like Mercedes, but I'm also very anxious for her to lose one, if not both, of her titles.
Yeah.
I don't know that she does enough. Like, they count on her stature, like her name, her stature as the history of her professional wrestling to, basically for the reason for her to have these titles.
Right.
And she's been having better matches. So Statlander match was very good. Her match with Momokogo in New Japan was very good.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of just want to see these belts defended a little more. And while I think Sasha is good and did have a very, very good match with Statlander, I am very comfortable in saying that was at least 80% Statlander.
Yeah.
Because everybody has good matches with Statlander.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, I kind of want Mercedes to be done with one or both of those belts.
I agree.
So
my overwhelming thought about Mercedes was that while we were watching the show, I was just observing how many different ways her name gets said.
Okay.
And so a lot of people say Monet, like Claude Monet.
Sure.
And then people were like, she was saying Monet.
Monet, yes. Like
the other impressionist painter.
Impressionist painter, correct.
But then I think that it's supposed to be like money, but with an A at the end, which is like money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's really hard to say.
Yeah.
And but I feel like sometimes they said that. And so I was like, nobody knows how to say
it. She herself has used them interchangeably.
Yeah.
But her finish, when she was Sasha Banks, it was called the Bank Statement. Right? And she was the boss. This is the money maker. So her last name should be Monet, the Monet maker.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
So they say
I think that's
Monet.
what it is. But
I'm
then
going to go to the bank and take out some money.
Because money is really hard to say.
Hello, I would like to take all my Monet out of the bank, please. All my money.
Wait, it was called the bank statement?
Yeah.
When she was Sasha Banks.
Yeah. She was the boss.
Man.
Sasha Banks, and it was the bank statement.
But now she's the CEO.
Yes. What are you pointing at?
Oh, she's pointing at her first note, which says wrestling is dumb.
You gotta. This is an audio medium. You gotta.
That was for your benefit.
Oh, okay.
Wrestling is dumb.
Wrestling is dumb.
So the thing is, like, no. Bank statements are not entertaining to anyone.
Okay, but it's like a submission hold. I thought it was a good name. I like it. I like that wrestling does silly stuff like that. That's sort of what it's supposed to do.
What was her thing at WWE?
What do you mean?
The bank statement.
The bank statement.
No, like the CEO part.
She was the boss.
The boss.
She didn't have a dance. The CEO dance is an AEW impression. CEO. I love it.
See, I told you it was dumb.
I love it.
I don't like it.
It's fine.
I don't mind the dance so much. I don't the CEO part. I'm just, I'm not a big fan of CEOs.
Yeah.
Yeah, or any C-suite positions.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's topical, guys. What are you saying? What happened to poor Mercedes? You're saying she better.
I'm not saying
That's not
anything.
what she's saying.
I'm not saying anything.
All right.
So anyway,
I just want her to continue to be sparkly and wonderful.
All right, I'll agree with that.
So then we go to the Battle Royale, which
Yes.
I know you had.
I had a lot of feelings about this.
You had a lot of feelings. I had so many feelings about this, namely because from the jump you knew exactly what was going to happen.
Right. My biggest problem. This is an all scrubs battle royal.
With two names who are best friends.
Kind of. Not the best friends, but we're best friends.
Right.
So all scrubs but Kyle O'Reilly is what I'm going to say. But yeah, like so when I saw this was happening, I was excited for Michelle to watch it because she is the Royal Rumbler.
Right.
Coming to a podcast near you in a couple of weeks. Because that's going to start happening. We're building up to Royal Rumble season here.
We sure are.
But I was like, oh, well, this will be something you like because you understand the concept of the match.
First of all,
yes.
I've said this several times in the past in my history. My favorite part of the Royal Rumble is the countdown part because I would watch something where they count down the top 10 best numbers.
Right.
So like, I love a countdown. So I like them just starting in the ring.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but then Adam Cole's the only one who gets an entrance. Mm-hmm. And like we all knew where this was going. This is mixed up in the garbage MJF program that I hate. So you knew Cole was going to win, even though he doesn't really have the means or the ability to win a match like this, particularly when like a guy like the Butcher is in the ring. Yeah. And it was mostly tag teams. So it was like Archer and Cage and like a couple other bigger guys. And then like, you know, Top Flight were in there, all four Top Flight, but then they kind of broke up, maybe kind of sort of, because Leo and Action Andretti eliminated the Martin brothers.
Right.
But like when this happened, I was like, oh, this is so telegraphed. And like,
is the Butcher the guy who's the singer for Every Time I Die?
Guitar player, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He has a new band coming out too.
Yeah.
It was just so tough because like nobody that I know likes this program. It gets a good reaction in the arenas. People still really like Adam Cole for whatever reason. I think this is all very flat. But we knew it was going to be down to him and Kyle O'Reilly to have the match at Winter is Coming. Mm-hmm. And
I thought Kyle O'Reilly was the other guy.
Yeah.
No. That's Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah. See, I knew we were going to get into this problem.
There's too many Kyles.
See, you're just like JR.
Which one's cool?
Cool Kyle is Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So him and Adam Cole and Roddy Strong were in a group in NXT together, and then they came over after they got let go, they came over to AEW, and they're sort of all tangled in this thing that doesn't make a ton of sense. That it all spawns back from when Adam Cole jumped off the ramp and shattered his ankle, and they're trying to act like he wasn't the bad guy when that happened. It's a whole mess of a program that's everybody kind of universally is like, this is a disaster. Stop reminding us how much of a disaster it is. But we all knew he was going to win, and I think that's lazy. I think wrestling can be obvious when a story is told and it gets somewhere, but like this, I was just like, okay, there's no chance that anything happens other than these guys. And it's just shitty. I don't know. And
I agree.
AEW does this a bunch. It's one of their biggest flaws.
What'd you call them? The people in the ring?
Scrubs, job guys, ham and eggers.
I called them bit part demons last night.
Bit part demons, yeah, sure.
Because of the Evil Dead musical. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I listened to that so much it made it into my Spotify Wrapped.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it's an all Scrubs battle royal. And I hate that because I like a lot of the guys in it. I love Lance Archer. I like him and Cage together. Like a lot of Butcher. I like a lot of the dudes in here, but they're all nobody who's really going anywhere, at least not right now.
Not right now.
In AEW. So there was just no
Who was like
chance.
Who was the Mankind guy?
Evil Uno.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why is he just doing Mankind?
That's a great question. I wish he wasn't. He's in the Dark Order, that whole thing that Brody Lee ran. And then Brody Lee sadly passed away, and they sort of have been since then listless on the TV. But yeah, he started like dressing like Mankind a little bit. I don't get it. It's weird. But he was there. That's Evil Uno. He used to be in Chikara. He used to be Player One or Player Uno in Chikara. It was a Nintendo gimmick, and he used to have a Nintendo controller on his tights, and he used to hit the pause button, and the people in the ring would stop. But
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Bring that back.
I agree. Yeah. But he's a talented wrestler. It's just I don't know that Evil Uno as the leader of a corporate cult is works. And I think the 5 years that they've been on AEW TV shows that it doesn't.
Yeah.
And that might be harsh, but it is what it is. But he also runs their video game channels. He's a big video gamer. And the reason why that he had a sort of a standoff with Adam Cole in this match is because they both do the video game stuff together. They do like a video game Twitch together. Mm-hmm. So that was like, oh, if you pay attention to the Twitch, you know that they're friends, but they're going to fight here. And it's just uninteresting.
Okay.
Yes.
So what'd you think of this match, Tatum? You said you didn't like it very much.
Yeah, I said from the beginning, like you knew exactly what was going to happen. Mm. Not nearly as exciting as a Royal Rumble.
No.
No.
It was so predictable that I like zoned out and finished my payroll with it on in the background. It's
very hard to get into. Like maybe if you're an Adam Cole fan, if Adam Cole fans out there want to chime in, email the show WeNeedWrestling at Gmail. But like, maybe if you liked him so much, you're like, oh, this is cool because I know he's going to win. But I don't even think that's the thing. I don't even think Adam Cole fans are like, oh, great, I get to watch this thing where he wins, but I know he's going to win the whole time. There was no stakes. There was no drama. It's just sort of, all right, let's get this out of the way so we can get where we're going for the pay-per-view. And that's sort of what everything they've been doing. That was the him and Roddy stuff leading into the last pay-per-view was like, can we just get this moving so it's over so we can move people in other directions?
Right.
I also don't like MJF. I like Cool Kyle. No. Kyle O'Reilly's awesome. Go watch his match against Shibata. It was great.
I really hate MJF.
I hate MJF. Me too. Strong dislike of MJF.
He had like a promo in this, right?
He's been doing pre-tapes this whole time.
Yeah.
Which he's better at because they can edit him and cut around all of his flubs and mistakes and his long-windedness.
Yeah.
But I don't think they've been effective. But again, I'm not a fan, but it is what it is. But I think they've overpaid for MJF, and I think he spent the last 2 years proving it. And if you want my actual hot take, I think the investment in MJF about 2 years ago when he was like, I'm leaving, I'm quitting, I'm getting on a plane and never coming back, and all that stuff where he supposedly held TK up for money and all that stuff, I think they should let him walk. I think the 2 years or so since has proven that he isn't the guy that they thought they needed.
No, I agree.
So, but he gets good in crowd, like in arena reaction. So I'm definitely in the minority there. But
really, like positive reaction.
People still really like MJF and think he's the guy.
Oh, people are dumb.
I agree. All right, so we get the Acclaimed backstage thing where it certainly looks like they're going to break. They're leading towards the breakup even further, which we've all been waiting for forever.
Yes.
Because the Hurt Syndicate is trying to recruit Caster. In the Discord, we all sort of talk about it a lot, how it would make more sense if they swerve us and Bowens is the one who turns and joins the Hurt Syndicate.
Why? Yeah, why is the Hurt Syndicate trying to get Caster? That doesn't even make sense to me.
Right.
So maybe that is what their game actually is.
Bowens is a super talented dude.
Yeah.
He gets a good fan following. He had a really good bit a few years ago on TV so Bowens is openly gay. Mm-hmm. And there was a program against somebody that opposite them had a female manager, and like she tried to distract him in the match by like taking her shirt off or kissing him or whatever, and the whole crowd started chanting, "He's gay." He was like, yeah, I am. Like, right, this isn't going to work on me.
Right.
You know? So that was a good bit. So I think he's a better wrestler than Caster. And Caster's been on this, like, I'm the best wrestler in the world, and he's kind of a chowderhead outside of the ring in real life.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it'd be better for Bowens to join this group of veterans because they're all around 50 in the Hurt Syndicate. They're all close. So, like, to get that experience from a group of guys that are super respected, would be better for Bowens because I think we've seen Caster's ceiling. I think Caster as a successful tag wrestler is the best we're going to get out of him.
Yeah.
While Bowens, I can see so much more for.
Yeah.
But yes, Michelle.
I'm sorry. I need you to explain to me what the Hurt
Syndicate.
Hurt Syndicate.
Yes.
I was going to call them. I couldn't
Hurt Locker?
I couldn't not say Hurt Locker. Yes.
It's funny because Bobby Lashley's finishing hold is called the Hurt Lock.
I also can't say. Well, we'll find that out when we get to that part of the show too. But
Sure.
We'll get there. But yes, the Hurt Syndicate people.
Absolutely.
What the fuck is that?
What do you mean? It's a group of guys. They hurt people.
Why are they a group of people? Like, what is the groups? Are they a tag team? I'm so
They're
confused.
a stable.
What's a
they're a
stable?
They're a faction.
Are they a stable or a faction?
They're the same thing. That's the same thing.
What is a faction?
It's a group of like-minded individuals in wrestling who are together in a common cause.
What's the cause?
To hurt people.
And to take over AEW and take it where it should have been going because it wasn't going in the proper direction. We talked about this while I was doing your hair today, and I explained to you who all was a part of it.
Did explain to me who was
but
in
here you
it.
go. So the Hurt Syndicate right now is MVP, who's kind of their manager. He has wrestled, but he's a little beyond that. MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin, right?
Wait, who are they?
They're
the people in it?
Yeah.
So Shelton Benjamin, who wrestled the first match against Kyle Fletcher.
Right.
And then MVP and Bobby Lashley.
They had that backstage segment where they yelled at Shelton and beat everybody up. Do you remember that?
Is Juice Robinson in a stable called the Bang Bang Gang?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
Bullet Club Gold. There's Bang Bang Gang.
All right. Well,
so here's
I don't understand, but that's okay.
Excuse me for drawing a comparison from a faction of black men to another faction of black men, but these are going to be words that Michelle understands. The New Day.
But I thought they were a tag team.
Tag teams are two people.
Oh, and there's three of them.
There are.
I love the New Day.
Right. So sometimes, depending on there is something in wrestling called the Freebird rule, where sometimes a group of three guys could have interchangeable. Like, doesn't matter if you're tag team champions, doesn't matter what combination wrestles for the titles at any time. But that's rarer. But usually it's a tag team and a singles, or if it's bigger, it's a upper card singles guy, a mid card singles guy, and a tag team, and then sometimes a manager. The NWO, the Four Horsemen, Degeneration X. The Fat Boys Incorporated, the Stud Stable, Dangerous Alliance.
Do all of them have a trombone, like the New Day does?
No. Most of them don't have cereals or pancakes or trombones
or ice cream carts
or ice cream carts or unicorn horns.
That's too bad.
But yeah, so
we need more New Day like acts.
You
can't really replace that.
No.
That's what I felt like the acclaimed.
Yeah,
acclaimed.
They're very similar. They were three-person group because
they were
Daddy
similar in the beginning because they were like funny.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But it's not funny anymore.
It's not funny anymore. Right. Correct.
His Hunter Biden rap this week was
it was rough. Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah.
And
but
also he talked
about ice,
Hunter Biden stealing money, and that's not what Hunter Biden did. So
but yeah, so that's
he stole money from the IRS, I guess.
Sure.
Tax evasion, but
some companies
I don't have a problem with tax evasion.
Well, you're going to be a big fan of professional wrestlers. Or wrestlers are going to be big fans of you. So, but
they should be employees.
It depends on the companies.
And they should be unionized.
Sort of NWO is a faction in WCW in the 90s that had like seemingly 1 million members.
But like, what's the purpose of it?
So the guys have your back, so you have like backup.
So
or
it's
friends.
just like so that people run out and like smash a chair.
Right.
And like oh, I don't like the outcome of this match. I'm gonna run out and smash a chair.
Right.
Everybody needs their own green jeans walking around.
Yeah, they had that. Right.
Yeah.
That's Death Riders are a faction.
Tatum's my green jeans.
There you go.
She has my back.
Because later we see Mox and Pac and Claudio.
I explained to her the Death Riders.
The Death Riders. That's also a faction. New Japan does it differently.
Bang Gang,
right.
Apparently.
New Japan does it a little different where like most wrestlers are in a group and they're bigger and it's sort of a little looser.
I felt bad for some of the wrestlers on this page. They don't have like MJF doesn't have a nickname or a stable.
Well,
Don't feel bad for him.
because he doesn't have a nickname, nor is he in a stable.
Nobody likes him.
Well, he should have one or the other. Or
No. Sometimes you're by Eddie Kingston's a loner. He's the Mad King. He has a nickname, but he's a loner guy. You don't always have it. Sometimes like baby faces just help baby faces, but bad guys always sort of need a group because nobody's going to come to a bad guy's aid if they're in trouble. Usually, typically in wrestling fashion.
Yeah.
And they all have individual motivations. The Hurt Syndicate want to take over. They want to hurt people. You know, the Death Riders are trying to take over and correct AEW. You know, all that kind of stuff. And AEW does have trios titles, which is 3-on-3. So 3-man teams do work a little better there. But the Best Friends, the Conglomeration. The Conglomeration is a stable that has 4 or 5 people in it.
it should be the conglomerate.
I know, you always say that.
Grammatically, it doesn't make any sense.
It's fine.
So we're losing her.
We are. We're losing her quick.
Okay, so Max Caster.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the Hurt Syndicate wants him.
Me either.
I don't understand what the fuck he was thinking challenging Swerve.
Right, because he gets squashed.
Yeah.
It is not a competitive match.
It's not a competitive match.
Nor should it have been.
And no, it shouldn't have been. They're not even in the same.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Caster is a tag team wrestler. And by common wrestling logic, and maybe there's exceptions to every rule, but like typically a singles guy should always get the advantage over a tag wrestler just because it is a different style of wrestling and it is a different way to do things, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera for the audience. So an established singles wrestler should almost always beat an established tag wrestler.
Yes. But even if he was like the best tag wrestler,
right? Well, he thinks he's the best wrestler in the world.
They're not in the same universe.
Right. Agreed.
And truly, I thought that final Swerve stomp after the match had already been called.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be way worse than that.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I keep waiting. They've been teasing this for so long that I keep waiting for the Hurt Syndicate to get involved because they have been going after Swerve.
They have been.
And recruiting Caster. And they tried to recruit some other people too. But so I was like, oh, when's the Hurt Syndicate going to show up? When are they finally going to show up?
When winter is coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they didn't do anything on this show because they're waiting for winter to come.
Michelle does have a point which we could bring up at the end. But I liked the wrestling on this show a lot. But I felt it was lacking in almost every other department. It felt like a little bit of a nothing stakes show because they're at the right point where AEW always struggles in they're not ready to kick everything off towards their bigger show or a pay-per-view.
Right.
And they're and the stories aren't new. Mm-hmm. So they're in that 2 to 3 week storyline phase where they're well, we just have to have a match to figure it out until we get to the next thing.
Yeah.
So... But
Michelle, so when the Hurt Syndicate first came on and right before Benjamin's first match, I think it was, they were trying to bring Swerve on with them.
Okay.
And he was like, I don't fucking need you. And
that's true. He doesn't.
Right, he doesn't. And they were like, no, you don't understand. We're not asking and whatever. And then, yeah. So...
I vaguely maybe
just the backstory on that one.
Yeah.
You end up watching most, well, at least you exist in the room when wrestling is on most weeks.
For the first
30
minutes, yeah.
Yeah, to an hour.
Yeah.
So, all right.
It's a good way to say it.
We're
on in the room.
King Switch versus Pac.
Yep.
Michelle?
I
was very offended when we watched this match because of you.
Why?
Because you said that Switchblade Jay White, who is in fact the leader of the Bang Bang Gang, is not handsome.
Well, I feel like these two look like they could be related to me.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's true at all. I don't think Jay White looks like a goblin whatsoever. And Pac looks like a goblin.
I described him today.
Actually, yeah, sitting in my chair, she goes, there was the one match that like DJ told me was very good and I didn't think that it was. And good. I was like, oh, which one was that? And she was like, the one with the bridge troll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He looks like somebody shaved off his hair and then glued it back on to his head.
That's right. What she said.
Yeah, you refer to him as Butters.
He looks like he looks like in the South Park episode where they get the throwing star in Butters' eye, so they tape hair to him like a dog.
Yeah, they shave the dog and tape the hair to him and try and take him to the vet because they can't take him to the hospital because they'll know.
That's what I think Pac looks like.
Yeah. So there you go. But I thought this was very good.
But he looks like the brother of Jay White, but like Jay White's a little better looking. But
brother, was it Hugo Bart's the brother they locked in the attic in The Simpsons?
The example I gave yesterday was very mean, and this is not it's not a looks thing so much as it's like a way you've put yourself together. Okay. He's a mess. Okay, like that's what it's not like the way he looks. You know what I mean?
He's supposed to be dangerous.
It's like the way he's put himself together. Mm-hmm. He's a disaster, and he looks like. I said that it looked like if him and Jay White were twins, and Mama Fratelli from the Goonies was their mother, and so maybe she dropped him.
Oh, see. I like Pac a ton. I like both these guys a lot. You were very obsessed with Pac had no body hair seemingly, but in his upper thighs. Except
for his upper thighs. It's like again, this is the way. It's the way you put yourself together. If you dress like a fucking bridge troll, you're gonna look like a bridge troll. I'm sorry, but you look like you're gonna ask me riddles to cross a bridge because why is his entire body hairless? Yeah. And then his upper thighs have the most hair I've ever seen on upper thighs.
Incorrect.
Including the back of his thighs. There's a lot of hair there.
They took the hair from the rest of his body to glue on his head.
That is what it looks like. It looks like they've shaved the rest of him except for his thighs in case he gets cold in the winter.
My favorite thing about
because he doesn't wear pants. He doesn't own pants.
That's my favorite thing about Pac is because he's a member of the Death Riders. Yeah. Is that when they come out, when they don't have matches, they come out to interfere or whatever.
In their civvies?
In their civvies, in their green pants. Everyone will be wearing jeans and t-shirts, and he is only ever in his black panties.
He is always in panties and boots. Always.
And I love that about him. Yeah. I love Pac a lot.
I just wonder if, are you committing to the bit, or is it a little bit who you are? That's what I wonder.
I'm going to ask you a question. I don't think you know the answer to this question, and I'm going to say this to you.
Okay.
Do you know that we currently, in our living room, have an action figure of him that I did not put up?
Who put it up?
I have the action figure of Pac from his WWE run.
Yeah.
That I had left out somewhere someday because I was trying to figure out a guy that I could take apart to make a custom for something. And you put him on a shelf.
I put him on a shelf.
Which is not unlike an elf on a shelf.
Pac on a shelf.
So did you know? That he's in the purple on the bottom shelf next to the couch.
Oh, he's Pac on a rack.
He's Pac on a rack.
That needs to be your Christmas thing. If you don't move that fucking action figure every night until Christmas.
Yeah. So he's out there.
DJ will come out and he'll be in flour, making snow angels.
So you didn't know it was the same guy.
I didn't know it was that guy. I just know that there was an action figure sitting somewhere, and I was like, I guess it needs a home, and I just put it on a shelf.
So he was called Neville.
That tracks.
And he was called the man that gravity forgot.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, and he was
because he's short.
Does that mean he's gonna float away into space?
Because he was a high flyer. Because he does high flying moves.
Oh,
yeah. But in the WWE, he was much more flippy. Now he beefed up a little bit, and he's more murdery. He still does really good. His finish is still really good, high flying move. But and he's also in the WWE, they made him comb his hair and shave his beard and stuff.
I mean, that's probably for the best. But I do feel like that's something that would be forced upon him because again, I feel as though this is not a character. This is who he 100%. Is.
Yeah, he's British. That helps. British trolls seem to be mostly British to me.
He's northern.
They seem like a British thing.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
And his name is the Bastard.
The Bastard, yes. And you've said that also, that he looks like a bastard.
Yeah, he does look like a bastard.
I like Pac a ton.
I do too.
I like Switch a bunch. I thought
have no
this was really
strong
good.
feelings about him.
The standing brutalizer spot in this match.
Oh my god, that was so good.
It was so good.
What does that mean?
That
when Pac was on his back around and he was going to be like it looked like Switchblade was going to have to tap out. There was nothing.
This is when everybody was like, "Why don't you just jump backwards?"
Yes.
Like just fall backwards.
He couldn't.
Yeah, and then they fall forwards into the ropes and he grabs the rope. I thought it was an amazing spot.
Yeah.
Jay White's bleeding from the mouth at this point. Yeah. So he's screaming. And it was just a really cool submission spot. I don't think I've ever seen him do the standing, like a brutalizer like that, standing up. Normally the guy is laying down when he puts it on. I thought that was really cool. I like that spot a ton. And this was, in fact, when this match was over, I was like, that was really good. And you were like, was it?
Yeah.
And you were like, I don't think I understand wrestling. And I was like, that was a really good match.
I don't think I understand wrestling.
It was really a great match. I liked it a ton.
Well, and then I feel like, is this the point where, no, it wasn't, right? Where all hell broke loose?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the Death Riders come out, yes.
Yeah, it was. I will say.
I thought they're the Hurt Locker.
The one thing.
No. The Hurt Locker. They beat up guys backstage. That was earlier.
Is the other ones. That was earlier.
This is the one with Moxley? Okay.
Yes.
Green Pants, Moxley, Marina Shafir, the lady.
I was really confused because they just started coming out of nowhere.
That's what they do.
They were just like, I swear, they were just like popping up out of like chairs in the audience.
Right. So they're trying to. Mox has said on TV like AEW's lost its way. It's not what it was supposed to be. And so he's going to remake it in his image. So they've been beating people up at random. Right now they're in a program with
I feel
Switch,
like maybe they need to move on to a different, premise for their storylines. Okay. Because their storylines are constantly like, AEW's lost their way. We're like, we're the EVPs and AEW's lost their way. We're Chris Jericho and AEW's lost their way. Mm-hmm. We're this people. MJF, AEW's lost their way. Sure. Moxley, AEW's lost their way. Like maybe you need a second premise.
So I think AEW needs to find their way first.
Right.
I mean AEW has lost their way. I don't know that they ever had their way. So like that's true. Yeah. But like maybe keep that as like a behind the scenes concept instead of being like
So to be fair, this is the best one of those they've done.
All right.
It is. Mox is great. The whole group is great. They've managed to make Marina Shafir interesting and dangerous, which was very hard to do.
She doesn't talk.
She doesn't talk. Right. No promos. She doesn't wrestle. She just squeezes people out. She's married to Roderick Strong. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cute.
So, yeah.
He's the neck guy? The broken neck guy? Didn't somebody break their neck? Why are you looking at me? What is his look? Did nobody break their neck?
I mean, lots of people have, but...
Oh, I thought somebody had a neck problem.
No, that was Bryan Danielson.
He didn't break it. He's just a little floppy necked.
Oh.
Yeah.
You remember like somebody was in the hospital all the time and they were doing all the shit from the hospital? And they were like... I'm going to find this. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Do I know a thing?
I mean, Bryan Danielson's... when his sort of angle was that he has to retire because his neck is getting so bad. And then he got bagged.
Yeah.
But I don't...
By Mox.
Yeah.
This guy.
Oh, yeah. You're right. That's Roderick Strong. Yeah, neck strong. That was so long ago. How do you remember that?
Oh my God.
I don't know.
You couldn't pay attention to 20 minutes of this Dynamite, but you remember the lower mid-card angle of Roderick Strong from a year and a half ago.
No, because it didn't make any sense to me. I was very confused about it, so I asked a lot of questions. Because I was like, why is he constantly in a hospital bed where nothing's hooked up to anything?
Right.
He's got a whole bunch of wires behind him, and none of them are hooked up to anything.
So that actually is from when at the beginning of the Adam Cole stuff we talked about earlier with MJF, where it was like he was best friends with MJF, but he had to take care of Roderick Strong because his neck was hurt. So he'd go to his house and like wait on him hand and foot, and he would yell Adam all the time. And then like him and Max got mad at each other for it, and they're competing for friendship. That all is still kind of happening. Only Adam Cole was out for like a year because he shattered his ankle. And he is a dead ankle now. He's dead person bones in his ankle. Mm-hmm. That's how bad he shattered his ankle.
I still remember when he used to be friends with the guy who drank too much and dressed like Temple Grandin.
Hangman Adam Page?
Yeah, weren't they buddies?
Roderick Strong?
No, the other
Adam
one.
Cole?
Adam Cole. See, I finally learned something about wrestling, and then you've moved on 6 months later,
Yes.
and I'm like, I don't fucking know what's happening anymore.
You're just going to have to watch wrestling more.
No.
Yeah.
That's not the takeaway.
I think that's the takeaway. All right.
Actually, Hanger comes out
He
during
does.
this now.
Yes.
So everybody jumps in, everybody gets involved. After Yuta was fucking with the match the entire time.
Right.
But
Yeah.
and then Hanger comes out, Mox of course goes after him, they all jump him.
Yeah.
And then the greatest, like, I absolutely loved they're walking away, and then, you know, a cameraman comes running up with a wire to choke Moxley out, and surprise, it's OC.
Right. And I love that because Claudio did a similar thing months and months ago.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a little bit of a callback to that. I'm glad that OC isn't eliminated from this program because he did lose on the pay-per-view and sort of felt like OC was a little sacrificed to Mox first kind of thing. So I'm glad he's involved. They are doing, apparently, rumor is, a 4-way at the pay-per-view between a bunch of these guys. So I think OC...
I think it's not rumored. I think
is it announced?
Announced.
OC, Hangman, Jay White, and Mox, I guess, for the title, I think, maybe.
Jay White, OC, Mox, and Pac.
And Pac. Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting.
At Winter is Coming?
Oh, not Switch? Oh, is it a tag team? There's a 4-way.
Oh, this is a tag team.
Oh, okay. I think there's going to be a 4-way match for the title of the pay-per-view, but that would be cool. That's going to be cool, too. Because Mox and Pac are in the same stable, so that works.
Yeah.
So that's going to be cool. All right, cool. I like that. We get the Jericho New York Minute promo, which that's all I really want to say about that.
This was the greatest placement for him. I was so excited that all we had to do was, like...
Yes.
Let him talk about this for a minute. I could go out, smoke a cigarette really quick.
We've been living a Jericho-free life for a couple of weeks, and it's pretty nice.
It is so nice.
He wasn't on the pay-per-view. It's pretty nice.
He wasn't on the pay-per-view. That was lovely.
I'm really confused about, is he okay? Like, did he hit his head or something? Because, like,
yes,
I'm
he's been wrestling since, like, 1940.
But, like, I don't know. It feels like one of those, like, movies where, you know, somebody has, like... He's got the same. We watched this weekend Hot Frosty, and he's got the same like mental capacity.
It was
you should
great.
watch Hot Frosty. It's unhinged.
It was awesome.
But he's got the same mental capacity as the man who just was a snowman. Because I feel like Chris Jericho like used to have like a whole character, and now he's just like, "Hey guys," and he was really excited and very unhinged.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was insane.
But he's on Ring of Honor now because I'm trying to get a Ring of Honor TV deal.
Yeah. It's great.
So Bandito's coming back with a Wild West hype up video.
TV deal. They have HBO Max. Why don't they just put
Ring
it
of Honor?
there?
They want Ring of Honor on True TV. They want it to be weekly televised TV.
Yeah.
On True TV?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of True Crime?
Well, True TV hasn't been True Crime. True TV has been Impractical Jokers for the past millennia.
Oh.
But they're trying to move it to a sports-centric channel.
Oh.
So.
What's the one that's all True Crime that I'm thinking of?
I don't know. No clue. But anyway, Anna Jay versus
Oxygen.
There you go. Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford had a terrible match. And then Anna Jay calls out Mercedes Moné.
My notes about this match was, is this match about anything other than ass?
What match?
Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford.
Oh, my notes about this are that there's a slow ass blonde lady, and that they need to stop giving her the microphone.
That would be Penelope Ford.
Penelope.
No, the other one. No, the other one.
No, Penelope Ford's the worst one.
Oh yeah, that was her name. Yes, Penelope Ford.
Penelope Ford.
Yeah, why was she so fucking slow?
That's a great question. It's a great question.
I thought that she was 50. It turns out she's 34.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, she is old. And DJ's like, how old do you think she is? And I was like, I don't know, 48. And he was like, she's 34.
Yeah.
And she looked great. It's just because she was walking so slow. I just assumed she was old and very slow.
She did just come back from a very long injury, but
her outfit did look restrictive, and her ass was hanging out.
That's why I said, was this just about ass?
Anna Jay is better and is getting a little better because she was in Japan for a little bit. And Anna Jay's tagline is she has a fat ass and a bad attitude.
Well, she had a bad match.
She did. That's also common. They just can't put that on a t-shirt.
That was the worst. I don't like
tough.
wrestling, and that was the worst match I've ever seen in my life.
It was tough. But Collision
and
this
at
week,
one point, she said, Penelope Ford said, you want to see that again? And I was like, no, I don't. But she did it again anyway.
This week on Collision, they announced Mina Shirakawa versus Emi Sakura, and that match is going to be awesome. So everybody watch Collision this week.
Yeah.
Stop.
Those were my two notes about that.
Oh, stop giving blondes the microphone.
Yes. It's a blondie.
That G is so far away from the rest of the word giving. I was like, what does that even say? Look how far away that G is.
It's part of stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
You always make fun of my. He makes fun of my kerning.
Horrible. Anyway, we get the Mariah May promo.
Who still writes with a pencil?
Who still writes? Mariah May sits down for her interview with Miss Renee. That's very similar to the ones from the previous weeks where Mariah snuck up on Mina and smashed the bottle over her head.
Right. Renee was very annoyed by this interview,
yes.
too.
Yeah.
And we see Mina in the background sort of running through the hallway. And then she comes in.
It's just a flash that ran by, but you recognized her right away.
Mm-hmm. Well,
he's like, there's Mina. And I'm like,
well, listen, that's my friend.
That's his close personal friend.
My close personal friend. She said she loved me. She wrote it on a piece of paper. And then she comes in with the bottle, and it's like, oh, she's going to get revenge. But then
I thought she was going to smash her.
She hands the bottle to Mariah May and says, do it to my face next time, because 2 weeks ago she smashed a bottle over her head when she wasn't looking.
Yeah.
So, and the goose egg on her forehead has gone down, which was very nice from the pay-per-view. I don't know if you saw it from the dive off the stage.
Yeah.
She has a big swollen spot on her forehead.
Yeah.
Mina is fantastic. Mariah is also very, very talented. So that's going to be fun when that happens. And then who knows when Toni Storm's coming back.
She is not one of the blondes that I thought shouldn't have the microphone.
No, Mariah May is pretty well rounded, and she's like 26. So she you know, her reign here hasn't been the best told, but AEW has a women's division competition problem.
Yeah, they do. And I think that's been the biggest problem, because she got the title and then had just bad match after bad match after that were just boring and dumb because there's nobody there.
It is sadly a division that probably can't support two titles.
Right.
And I know why they did it. I mean, they did it initially because to give Jade Cargill a title when she was there, because she was this freak of nature. Now she's injured with she got hurt by buyer's remorse in the WWE. So I don't know that there's enough in that division now to support two titles, but they can't exactly take one away.
Right.
And Mercedes and the other champion, they can't ever touch because they're separate champions, all that. And so, and then you get someone like Statlander who floats back and forth, and that's tough because you can't just keep throwing her knowing she's going to do the best matches.
Right.
Right. And then you have Emi Sakura, who is an incredibly talented wrestler, but they don't use a ton because she doesn't speak English very well. And she's over with the crowd, but she's not quite on that level. And so they're trying to boost up Anna Jay, and they try to use Thunder Rosa, but it just it's too inconsistent. So
it is.
These champions don't get really good matches all the time, and it hurts the division, and it stinks because I think they're, and like Jamie Hayter's back, and Jamie Hayter is fantastic, but she hasn't refound her groove. She was out for like over a year with an injury, so like she's having a hard time catching that fire again. She was the champion when she had to leave. And so, like, and like Thunder Rosa has really good matches, but only with a couple of people.
Right.
Britt Baker, who has okay matches sometimes, but is over as hell, is seemingly a problem backstage.
Okay.
I don't know. I know that the last time we saw Britt Baker on TV, she wrestled a match, and then Serena Deeb came out to challenge.
Yes.
And Britt looked right into the camera live on TV and said, "Yeah, no one cares."
Yeah.
And then they dropped it because no one cares. It's not a matchup anybody wants to see. But you don't bury people like that on TV. And I think that maybe it wasn't meant to be an actual burial, but it was. So like she seems to be gone. So I don't know if they're on great terms. So like it is a division that is struggling right now.
You know who I'd like to see more of? Shida.
Shida's the best. The problem with Shida, and again, this isn't actually a problem, but Shida's held that belt 3 times already.
Yep.
Every time they've gone into this logjam, they call Shida. And so you just can't keep doing that. But Shida's consistent. Shida's probably the best women's wrestler they have. And she always like uplifts this division. But eventually, I think it's already obvious after like the 3rd time where they're like, yeah, she's the emergency button.
Yeah.
And so they got to figure something else out. And Mariah May is very talented, and her and Mina is going to be great. But and like there's other wrestlers that I really like if they use them better. I like Nyla Rose a ton, but they killed her on TV. They have told us all that she can't win a fucking match, so they're never going to put her like she's billed as a threat, but she never wins.
And
Willow's great. Willow's coming back. Willow was concussed. Willow was hurt, so Willow is coming back into the gauntlet for the crossover show, like the International Women's Tournament they're doing. Willow is wrestling on Collision. I think she's wrestling Serena Deeb, actually, on Collision. Willow should go pretty far in that, if not win it.
Yeah.
But she was hurt. She got hurt in Mexico when she was down there, so they had to move her in and out. But she's another one where she's already had her feud with Mercedes.
Right.
She won the New Japan Strong women's title first because Mercedes got hurt in that match and they had to call an audible in the ring. And then she had it when Mercedes came back, and then Mercedes won it off of Willow and has had it since. So they can't exactly go back to that.
Right.
And she also just feuded with Statlander over nothing, which was great. And Statlander was the bad guy.
Yeah.
But after that, they were like, oh shit, we don't have a babyface to step up to Mercedes. So they just, for no reason, made Statlander a good guy so that she can go fight Mercedes to give that a good match. So they're having a really a big problem rotating in wrestlers that can captivate enough to hold that belt and beat these people conceivably.
Yeah.
And it's tough right now. And I think there's some people they could bring in. I think there's some other talent out there. I will never for the life of me understand why they're not using Athena, who's Ring of Honor Women's Champion.
I don't even know her.
She's absolutely fantastic. She was in WWE. She's been Ring of Honor Women's Champion. She's the longest running Ring of Honor champion in Ring of Honor history. But they keep her on Ring of Honor as like a feature because she's super talented. And my argument, and I've brought this up on the show before, and Brett has too, is that when Jericho is Ring of Honor champion, he gets a spot on regular TV every week. And gets to have Ring of Honor championship matches on AEW pay-per-views.
Right.
DJ
Cena has never had one.
He's a man.
Right, exactly. That's certainly how it fucking looks.
Yeah.
Because she's a way better wrestler than Jericho. And she's a draw. She's consistent. She's really talented. But they never feature her on regular TV. They like it because they say it's so that she can stay special in Ring of Honor to give somebody some reason to watch Ring of Honor.
Is the Learning Tree, is that a stable or is that Jericho's name?
Stable. No, it's a stable. I mean, Jericho was the Learning Tree. Chris Jericho went on this thing where he came up with 19 nicknames for himself, copyrighted them all so he could put them on T-shirts. So the Learning Tree, he was the Learning Tree Chris Jericho that then they said, here's the stable, come sit under the Learning Tree.
If I had kids and I needed to send them to daycare, I'd send them to the Learning Tree.
Yeah. Not if Chris Jericho's running it.
Not if Chris Jericho's running it.
Yep.
That's true.
And if he was running it, I heard they're closed every January 6th. All right. The main event, Brody King versus Claudio.
Oh, there was another one.
This is the last match.
This is the last one.
And then we're going to get into questions, and then I can send you guys on your way because I've kept you here longer than I intended.
So I discovered about myself last night that I cannot say Claudio
Castagnoli.
Okay, I can't say his last name. I kept saying, what was I saying?
Castiglione. Yeah, you were all over the place.
Castiglione.
Yeah, you just say Claudio or Claudilio. That works.
Claudilio is essentially the fashion by which I'm saying his last name.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that this was a really good match.
I love this match. I love Brody King.
I love Brody King as well. But
rules.
I also do really like Claudio.
Claudio's great. Claudio is one of those unsung guys who was in WWE forever, never got like the big run that he probably deserved. He's a Chikara guy. So
I was going to say, wasn't
forever.
he a trainer at Chikara?
He was a Chikara wrestler. So he's a really interesting backstory. Most people know it, but he won a visa lottery in his home country and got to come here and train to wrestle.
Switzerland,
right? Yes, he is Swiss. Swiss German. And yeah, he is a Chikara guy, trained there and all that.
He trained Yuta, right?
Yes, he was one of him and OC, a couple other people who trained Yuta. And Claudio was in WWE for a long time, had Intercontinental Championship, but is a guy who probably should have been bigger, and then came to AEW, and everybody was kind of like, he's going to have his title run here. He's going to get the world title. Mm-hmm. And he's sort of fallen into the same position he is everywhere. He's not a great promo. He's not a bad promo. But he does, he does have certain, not certain problems, but like, he isn't the most interesting promo guy out there.
No, he's a good worker.
But
he's not.
He is, he's one of the strongest guys people say they ever wrestle. And he's a phenomenal wrestler. He has freak strength he's tall, but like, he's a leaner guy, but just freak strength.
Yeah.
But Brody is newer, obviously, lead singer of God's Hate. And just one of the coolest looking dudes on this roster.
He really is. Whoever his tattoo artist is, congratulations.
Right.
Placements, like saturation, everything.
Yeah.
So good.
His chest tattoo is one of the most impressive things. His torso tattoo, really.
Yeah.
Is really, really cool. Yeah. And he's catching on. I would have preferred he won this match. While I know he's not in that position, and Claudio did have to cheat.
Claudio did have to cheat, so I don't know. Michelle, did you catch this, or did DJ have to explain this to you? At the very end, Claudio was kind of yelling at the ref, and behind his back, kicked Brody King in the nuts.
Yeah.
And that's what made him lean forward, and that's how he turned around and won the match.
Yeah, because that's an immediate disqualification in AEW.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I didn't catch that.
So Claudio did have to cheat to win, which is fine. It keeps Brody strong. I think Brody would have been a fine contender to and still can. One loss isn't anything. But he had a really good run last year in this. Him and Danny Garcia sort of had a little program, and him and Darby, the stuff is really good.
Yeah.
But Brody's awesome. He's catching on really well for a guy who's as new to the business as he is. He's one of the most legit, like, intimidating guys on the roster.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't have to do much. Like, when he walks out, you're like, oh, yeah, this dude will fuck people up.
Yep.
Like, he doesn't have to do much. But his presentation is good. He's in the House of Black, which is a stable in AEW of 3 guys, and Julia Hart, who's coming back soon.
Oh, yeah, she is coming back. I saw that.
Vignettes, yeah. They've been doing a lot of vignettes for her. And she's another one who had the women's title, the TBS title maybe, when she got injured and had to relinquish it. And she's really young to the business, but like she was really catching on and getting better.
Yeah.
So it'll be good when she comes back too. But Brody rules, and I love watching him wrestle. I love watching him wrestle guys that are as experienced as Claudio because, like, there's no backing down, and he goes for it. There's no hesitation. He's one of my favorite dudes to watch. So I really like this as a main event, even though Claudio won, and I wish he didn't. But Claudio's also in the Death Riders, who are at the top of the thing, so Claudio's going to probably come down to some of the finals of this thing. But do
stables ever all get together and, like, have a big battle like the Warriors?
Mm-hmm. That's what War Games just was at WWE. It was the OG bloodline versus the new bloodline, and then they do a standoff like West Side Story every single fucking time. Do they snap their fingers? No, but there is an old WWE Survivor Series hype video that they did West Side Story for, and they all wear wigs and dance and stuff. But
That's weird.
But WWE, everybody makes fun of them because every War Games now, which is 5-on-5, they have like the Marvel or West Side Story standoff, and it's lame as shit. But yeah, stables fight all the time. That's, you get a good guy stable versus a bad guy stable, and that's, you're off to the races. Yeah. So, but anything else about Dynamite out of either of you before we get to the questions from our faithful listening audience? No.
There's nothing else you want to ask, Michelle? I know that you're dying to know everything and learn more.
Yes.
No.
I
do. I have a lot of questions, but like I feel like I'm gonna take my time with them.
Okay.
Because someday
is that you committing to coming on this show more often?
Maybe, but like
Should
someday
I fire up the Patreon now?
Yeah.
Patreon
Yeah.
Michelle. What Michelle learns about wrestling.
Go for it, because one thing I need you to explain to me, but not right now.
Yeah.
Because if you start explaining this now,
Okay.
we're going to be here until 3 a.m.
Well, we just did
and
like
I will
20-minute
murder
podcasts
you.
where you ask a question and Brett and I answer them as podcast episodes.
Okay.
I would join the Patreon for that.
So my
It's
question
$200.
here's what you need to start working on. It's
Yes.
like, I don't understand all like the belts and titles and
Okay.
like
Well,
why
Nobody
they
does.
Neither
There's
do
way
I.
too
or
many.
whether they matter. And like
They do.
I feel the same way at WWE. It just feels like you can win any of them,
So
and you
it-
could win one, and then you could win the other.
Yeah.
At the same time, even. And so like,
so they're
but-
fake championship belts for a fake sport in a fake company.
I know, but like I just don't understand how they justify having so many. So again, this
Neither
is
do
not
I.
a question for now.
Sure.
But I would like to someday.
There is in storyline reasons and positioning for all
This
of
is
them.
going to be like, I feel like it's a video Patreon, by the way, because I think we need a whiteboard because I need a map of like what all of them are.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot.
Okay.
I feel like this is a whiteboard amount of topic.
This is gonna this is gonna be more Pepe Sylvia than you think.
That's
It
what
would end
I'm
up being-
expecting. That's why we need a board. This is why it's a video podcast episode, because like we need to I need to map it all out.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about it. I mean, you want to learn wrestling? We'll
I
get
don't
you
want
there.
to learn wrestling, but I do have that one singular
what I heard.
question.
Oh, only one question.
I heard that you want to learn wrestling.
Yes.
No.
That's what I heard.
Okay. Well, we got 3 questions to answer from our listeners. I have 2 of them. Tatum has 1 of them. Do you want to go first, Tatum?
Sure.
Okay. There's no theme song for this one.
No theme song for this one.
No.
I did write one
Okay.
pre-podcast,
You did.
but
Do it. Go ahead.
Yeah, you wanna
No,
sing it
I'm
right
not
now?
gonna sing it
Brett and
again.
I sing all the time on this show.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember how it went,
Okay.
so.
Well, it was.
But
We-
at
we
Marcus,
went-
I did write a song about
Okay.
you. And it went something like, Marcus, but I don't remember the rest of it.
Okay. It was definitely your name.
Yeah.
So this is Marcus' question.
Yes.
Miss Tatum, as an expert, best in the world, no big deal, in the hair and beauty world, who are some of the people in wrestling with great hair?
Ooh.
And is there anyone who you would advise to do something different with their hair? And what would that advice be?
I can answer that one.
He said, sorry for having a 2-part question. It's just this once, I promise. Listen, Marcus, you're not Ed. This is unbelievable. I can't believe you would do this.
The disrespect.
Very disrespectful.
Usually it's Tim that disrespects this show.
I don't
Yeah.
understand what we're talking about. I don't understand what's happening here.
No 2-part questions allowed.
Yeah.
Doesn't Ed always have a 2-part question?
Hey. Kayfabe.
Yeah. See?
Dang it. I got
Kayfabe.
shushed.
Yeah. You're breaking kayfabe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
But Michelle, I'm really excited that this is the question that came in because I think that you have answers.
About who has the best hair?
Or who has the
worst?
best hair or who should change their hair?
Okay, so who should change their hair? It's Pac.
dare you. Either way.
Pac.
Yeah.
He should change his hair. I maybe just
To
cut
what?
it. I don't know. Maybe just cut off everything from the neck up. I'm not sure, but just like all of the hair.
The neck up, that's all
Yeah,
of it.
I'm saying just decapitate yourself. No, all of his hair.
Get someone else's head is what you're saying.
Yeah, I do. I think that. But I think that what you need to do is just adjust to being like, bring yourself back to humanity. Tell yourself you're a human. Look in the mirror and say, I'm a human. I'm a human man. And then maybe he'll start to feel like a human man, and then he could get a human man's haircut.
Like a Pinocchio situation.
Yeah, and then he could get a human man's haircut, because what's that?
Let me see.
What is this?
Yeah, I mean, that's what he looks
It's like strings of yarn that have been taped to his head.
It makes it
maybe stapled. I'm not sure.
It makes it very hard for him to get an accurate action figure.
Yeah, he looks very much like a very scary person you'd try to keep a ring away from.
All right, okay, hold on.
Okay,
Hold on.
I like there he was a human.
No, is that him?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's Neville.
He looks like a human there. Mm-hmm. So what happened between then and like he's kind of
See?
okay, I'm not going to go. This is not a looks thing, right? Like I'm not attracted to him here, but he's not an unattractive he's not an ugly person here.
Sure.
Right? But somewhere along the line.
It's the undercut that makes it look so much worse because it makes it look a lot thinner.
Yeah, and like the amount of Vaseline you're putting in it. Maybe back off on the amount of Vaseline you're putting into your hair.
Okay.
So just like off the top of my head, good hair. I think Mariah May has incredible hair.
Yeah.
I did love Toni Storm's hair. Obviously, I loved that it was always like very on character.
Yeah.
Swerve has great hair.
Okay.
True.
Yeah. And
I need to look at
I do think that like Adam Cole and like all of those guys who have that hair of that length that is always just greasy and hanging. I don't know what else they would possibly do, but like sometimes I'm just like, come on, man, really?
All right. I'm proud of Moss,
but I know
for
it's
shaving
a
his
thing.
head.
Yeah,
Moss was hanging on a little too long. I like him with a shorter haircut, like a buzz cut, where you can still sort of see that the hairline's receding. But he used to comb it forward, and it's too much.
Can we also talk about another person who needs to move on from their haircut? Jericho, buddy.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, Jericho,
buddy,
and also Luke Perry or Jake Perry.
Yeah, Jack Perry. Yeah.
Jack Perry.
Luke Perry.
Perry.
I'm guessing Luke Perry's hair isn't doing very much these days.
Well,
So
like you want Jericho to go back to this?
I think that's fine. Maybe skip the frosted tips, but I actually think that would be better. I think you need to embrace the fact that your hair looks like shit.
So this is what I wish Jericho would go back to.
Okay,
The high pony.
Here's
and
the
the
thing.
goatee.
I'm just gonna say this. Jericho has passed the age of being able to do that. We all get a little thinner hair when we get older. It's okay.
That's probably the best.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's
actually.
not bad.
Older
Yeah.
length, okay.
It's very
he
Canadian,
should go back to the
too.
Rachel. It is very
Yeah,
Canadian.
it is like a Canadian Rachel.
Yep.
It's like a little Rachel, a little lumberjack.
Okay.
So I noticed on Saturday night that Okada is coloring his hair darker. It's not.
He's no longer bleaching it.
He's no longer bleaching it. You can tell that it's been colored over. It's been filled a couple times. It's not really holding on. But like whoever had started doing his hair, because it was doing so good, bleached and like whitish silver.
Yeah.
And then it was getting really yellow, and then it was really bad. And so I noticed this, and I like it.
Okay.
Good for Okada.
All right.
And I hate Mercedes wigs.
I was going to ask you about her wigs. The worst part about Mercedes wigs is when
they don't stay on while she's fighting.
Right, is that they fall off during the match, and instead of just letting it go, she lets it affect her match.
Yes.
So
First of all, Okada is super hot.
Yeah, right.
And Mercedes, I like the idea of the wigs.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like they just in practice never seem to work out.
There's a way to do it.
You know who does better with the wigs, not in AEW, is Naomi in the WWE.
In WWE.
She does a much better job. She actually was the one who left with Mercedes during all of that, but she ended up going back.
And like I know a lot of the other like women in wrestling use extensions.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like I know that Mercedes doesn't because she likes to switch up her hair so much, and like so I like her wigs because like she'll go with one that has like dollar signs or like you know what I mean. They're a cool part of her character, but they never seem to quite work out for her.
Yeah.
Also, I really like Jamie Hayter's hair.
Her Farrah Fawcett hairdo.
It's Farrah Fawcett. It's copper. It's like super cool. and Queen Aminata.
Queen Aminata is another great one for sure.
Would you?
There you go.
Oh, okay.
This is Naomi. I think this is her natural hair here, but I'm not sure.
It might be
Yeah,
extensions,
Yeah.
but
that's Naomi.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I got on that.
Okay. You said it was a 2-part question?
Yeah,
well,
because
it was whose do you like
Oh,
and who's
okay.
when what would you do?
Okay, that's a 1-1A.
It's a 1-1A.
Yeah, he doesn't break the rules there.
No.
Thankfully. Hopefully no one will break the rules tonight because they are.
Also, everybody needs to know that Marcus has great hair.
Yeah. Naomi used to do this too, and she looks great. So
That's her natural hair.
I mean, she's beautiful.
yes, she married to one of the Usos. Yeah. So, all right. That's it for Marcus's question.
That's it for Marcus's question.
I guess we'll go Timsy next.
Okay.
And now the Tim Taylor question of the week.
All right. Tim sent me this question, as he does every week. He said, "Hey, DJ, here's the question of the week. I know it's not a new topic whatsoever, but over the last few weeks, it's gotten under my skin. Why is there such a dividing line between AEW fans and WWE fans? I know a lot of them are bad faith engagement accounts, but even within the Discord, it feels like a big gap between the two." Well, Tim, I'm going to let Michelle take this one.
I have a take on this.
Yes.
And I have a take on this because of knowing DJ as long as I have.
That's me.
So
18 years and counting.
I always say
17 years
this,
and counting. I don't know.
it'll be 18 years in January.
Will be.
Well, we've known each other for 18 years because we met
right.
in
Sure.
October
August.
or whatever.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
August. I don't know.
Sure.
So I say this all the time that when DJ and I first met, there were these like several glorious years where he actually wasn't watching wrestling. And like the reason why he wasn't watching wrestling is because he wasn't like actively going to a lot of the indie shows and he like never really liked WWE.
Yeah.
And the reason why you never really liked WWE was because their focus is not as much on the wrestling.
Right.
So like they are truly like that sports entertainment outlet where it's more about like the soap opera storylines and like the drama and like, you know, the characters and like, yes, there is wrestling, but the wrestling is there to advance the storylines, not to have like wrestling type matches that like the wrestling, the storylines drive the wrestling instead of the wrestling driving the storylines, if that makes sense. And so like
Yeah.
AEW, on the other hand, is something that really resonated with you when it came out because it is like the wrestling is driving the storylines and the wrestling is driving the characters. It's very wrestling focused. Mm-hmm. And you've always liked like Japanese wrestling. You'll watch Mexican wrestling. You'll watch like all these other like indie wrestling. You'll watch all these other like federations of wrestling.
And we started the show, NXT was wrestling forward.
Right. And so like that's what you've always felt very strongly about is the wrestling part. And like, yeah, the promos, but none of the other drama. And I feel like WWE is very heavy on like all that like other drama. And like I feel like you're always like, well, that's great if that's what you're into. That's not just what I'm into.
It's you know, not it's just not a product for me, and I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with everything that you just said. Also, AEW's just a little bloodier, and some people like, you know, I don't know. I like that.
So
Yeah.
WWE definitely has a house style, and they you know, and I don't know if this necessarily explains why people are seemingly so ravenous towards each other these days. But like WWE is very conscious and very deliberate with their creating their house style. Even like if you listen to Final Wrestling Place, when you hear Tim and Marcus talk about them, they'll say this was a WWE style main event.
Right.
You know, they stopped for a while recruiting wrestlers and were bringing in athletes because they're like, well, we can teach you how to do what we do.
Right.
In their style. And, you know,
yeah, one of them's my close personal friend.
Sure. And some people are good at it. Some people aren't. But WWE is very particular about their brand, and their brand extends to owning copyrights of the people, owning the shows. Like, they want an all-encompassing world of WWE. Maybe they don't want wrestling fans necessarily. They would rather you be a fan of the WWE. They want to make movies. They want to do all that kind of stuff. And AEW is different. And AEW does remind me of the wrestling I watched when I was growing up, post like little kid watching Hulk Hogan. I wasn't even a big WWE fan then. I told Michelle, I said I would always watch WWF during the commercial breaks from the other wrestling I was watching.
Right.
You know, but I am also able to understand, like, I watched War Games this week. I watched the New Day stuff, and I didn't like it. And it's fine. You know, I'm going to criticize what I don't like. And so did they. Like, they, you know, this week I listened and they, you know, they didn't like the War Games matches. I thought the 2 War Games matches on the War Games pay-per-view were terrible. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a mistake when that's your marquee matches on the show. I think they did a really bad job at that. But they have a lot of talented people. I watched the New Day segment because I really like the New Day. Mm-hmm. There's guys there that I do really like. But overall, the product that they put forward, which is by their own admission, not wrestling, but sports entertainment, is not what I like to watch.
Right.
But also, I try not to be ravenous at people's throats about what they do like.
Right. I was going to say that too. Like, I don't give a shit if you don't like what I like, or
it doesn't affect me.
Like, it doesn't affect my life in any way.
Yeah.
I do like to joke about the baby versus sicko thing, though. I think it's funny.
Right, it is funny. And WWE does, you know, where that comes from. And again, we all on the network sort of say the thing for babies and whatever. But, like, they do and have for a long time pushed it to a younger audience.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, it's for kids. Very much like, and AEW is not as much for kids. Right. Like, there's blood and...
Yeah. Brett will talk about all the time on the show about his nephews and how they're starting to get into wrestling, and they love the WWE.
They love WWE.
And it's awesome, and I love that they have that. And that is a little more digestible for them.
It is. And from a business perspective, as we just talked about, they're an all-encompassing thing. Right. They sell a lot of toys because of that.
They sell a lot of toys. They sell more tickets.
They
sell more like,
their ratings are 4 times what
and
AEW is.
Boxes and pajamas and blankets. And like AEW is more like T-shirts and collectibles.
WWE wants to be a bigger entertainment empire than AEW is looking to do. I think Tony Khan thought there was a void to fill for a wrestling show.
I think he was right.
And I think also that the AEW audience, which is not as big as I wish it was. Yeah. I went on Twitter today looking for pictures for the YouTube image.
This was your first mistake.
Right, but and it was just everybody just destroying AEW over ratings and all that, and I could give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, I think I didn't love Dynamite this week. I thought the wrestling was good, but a lot of the storyline were listless. I wish AEW did a little bit better of the things that WWE does. And I wish WWE would go a little bit better into the things that AEW does. Mm-hmm. But, you know, online, when I went on Twitter, it was all people just bashing AEW. And I think AEW's audience right now are the people that were chased away from WWE because of WWE's product, letting the wrestling take a back seat.
Right, because it's just not what they're looking for.
Right, and also the Vince shit and all the controversy and all that also chased people away. But, like, even before the Vince shit, I think people were leaving. Even though WWE's super hot, I think the older fans were leaving.
Yeah.
And I think that's AEW's base. And that's why it's not growing. Mm-hmm. Is because it is this solid group of people limited, that are like, well, I needed this.
I really like wrestling, but I don't want like all the soap opera.
And I say this all the time, like if AEW didn't exist, I don't know that I would start watching WWE because I don't like it.
Right, like nobody ever like has a weird like marriage storyline on AEW. Right. Well, like, but you know, nobody's ever like
and they've done bad things,
kidnapped and forced to marry.
Right, right. Nobody's driving. Yeah, right. But like. They are trying to produce two different products. As far as people sort of being the divided line, I think the Discord is maybe a bad example because it is more people of a similar ilk to me who wanted the more wrestling forward product.
Yeah.
But I also think that the world as a whole, and I said this to you, Michelle, earlier, like everyone feels the need and are pressured to pick a team, to pick a group, to pick an identifier, to pick something, whether it's your political opinion, your sports team, your grocery store, whatever. And for whatever reason, not all, but most of fandom now has started to become very toxic in that way. And it's like my thing or fuck you. Well, and it's just not the way. It's not a healthy way to do things.
No, it's not.
A lot of WWE fans, when I see it, and this is what shows up in my purview, are WWE fans saying that AEW shouldn't even have the right to exist. And people say, like Eric Bischoff says that, who was just on TV trolls this week. Right. And the sad thing is the internet is full of those, and the internet is very troll forward. Well, but like WWE's not for me, but I'm glad it exists.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing I like about like the small group of like soon to be named network people that we're friends with, and like some of the people who listen, like
that's what you appreciate about them.
I feel like it's more I feel like people are more respectful of like differing opinions, and like I feel like you can say like you don't disagree, and I think we all know my feelings about the Discord, so I won't go into that because I would never step foot in there ever. Yeah. But but the people outside of the Discord, like that are like the group of friends, I think that you are very respectful of like people having different opinions. I think it's just like when you get caught up, like when you're in the internet proper, like somewhere like Twitter, especially,
it's a cesspool.
You get caught up in the moment, like the momentum of like, why don't you like my thing?
Yeah. And like, I'll use the New Day thing as an example because I watched that because I never watched WWE in a long time, but I watched that because I liked the New Day and I didn't like it. I didn't like the thing they said about Big E getting a girlfriend. Like, I just felt while they were being unreasonable heels, I felt that it was an angle that I didn't like. I'm fine with the heel turn. I hope they do great. Like, I want nothing but the best for those guys. I love all those guys.
I didn't like it because I want the New Day to be friends.
But like, it didn't resonate with me.
It made me sad.
It felt a little too silly. So when that happened, I went, okay. I still know what they're giving me. And I'm not. It's not for me. It doesn't mean it can't be for somebody else. I'm never a person that, at least I try not to be, a person that comes to somebody and says like, if this isn't for me, then it shouldn't be for you. But there are a lot of people who are like that, and a lot of people do go back and forth. Where I witness the aggression more from WWE fans, and not within the network or the Discord really, but like Twitter, Facebook, all that, Instagram are full of people who were trying to get an audience by being trolls and being negative.
People who are getting, like I said, caught up in that momentum of like,
and that like
group mindset,
and that like very much that polarizing thing we are as a world right now of my thing or nothing.
Yeah.
And I think, even if you don't like AEW, you still have to understand that like AEW has given people who dreamt of being professional wrestlers jobs that they can live on and potentially retire on. So that's a great thing.
It has helped to revitalize a lot of the indie shows.
So if you're a person who goes online and thinks like can't even understand or respect the fact that AEW exists as even just solely a place to give these people jobs who are wrestlers, then that you're just being absolutely nonsensical.
Should be full-time staff 100%. Jobs and unionized.
But yeah, like it is out there, Tim, and we all do see it. And why is I think people like to engagement farm, and you get more attention from being a dickhead. I think that society is very much polarized and homerism and tribalism right now. And it existed when WCW and WWF were competing. The same thing was happening. It was less so because they were much more even, I feel. So, like, for whatever reason.
Same thing happens with, like, Marvel versus DC Comics.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. I talk about all the time. I'd like wrestling a lot more for one for the fans. I like comics much more for one for the fans.
Star Trek versus Star Wars.
Right, exactly.
Like, everybody gets, all these fandoms that people get crazy.
The internet ups the vitriol to a ridiculous level because people know that they can say what they want on the internet behind an anonymous
So your
picture.
Discord should be nicer.
Right,
People
I
should be
agree.
nice to each other in that Discord.
We do, we
as
try.
to not
Tell them.
Chase people
Yeah,
away.
be-
I agree.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree.
to not make Michelle immedately quit the Discord so she doesn't drive to somebody's house and fight them.
I'm gonna have to answer some questions. So, but yeah, that Tim, buddy, I don't know if that's a great answer, but and I don't know if this is what you were looking for, but really, man, like what you like, and who gives a shit about everything else, right? You're a pretty well-rounded wrestling fan.
That's why I'm saying, like,
I love
you're like the group of
Yeah,
all of you,
the host.
you and like the other people who are friends on
Sure.
the network, I think do a really good job of like, even when you disagree, you're not like, oh, you're a moron.
Right.
Or I pity your stupid opinion. You're like, oh yeah, I don't like that. It's not for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone should take a moment and lead with grace in situations like that. And if you come across someone that isn't leading with grace, there's block features, there's mute features.
Or you could delete their Discord.
Or you could just straight up ignore them.
Yeah.
Like what you like, and don't let what other people think about what you like affect what you like. And that's the easiest way to do it. I know it's toxic out there and it ain't going to get any better.
Yeah.
Really not. So strap in. But, like what you like.
Yep.
So,
You're allowed.
allowed to do whatever you want.
And you should.
Man. It takes
Except
all...
Do
be a
it.
dick.
Right.
Yeah, don't
it
be
takes
a dick.
all... it takes all kind of waves or whatever the hell that saying is. I don't know.
I don't know. What's Ed's question?
Oh, all right. We got to get... I know. I did not expect this episode to be this long. All right. Ed also... this is going to be forever long because I got special guests coming up still.
Jesus Christ, Ed's is a rave.
Yep.
이제 이번 주에 에드 코디 질문입니다.
Ed himself is a rave.
I feel like I should have taken Molly before that.
I mean, again, Ed is very happy. All right. Ed says, "Hey there, DJ, my pal, and also Michelle and Tatum, who I think would be my pals as well."
We would.
We would.
Two-part question here, Ed. Two-part question this week only.
This
All right?
week only.
This week only, because I have special guests, and it's a special Friendsgiving episode. I will allow a two-part question this week, Ed.
You did this the last time I was on,
you
too.
were sick.
Yeah.
Question the first.
Oh, yeah, I hope you're feeling better, Ed.
I recently had the flu,
Oh, no.
and that shit fucked me up royally.
Just always does.
So what's your favorite selections to watch while recovering on the couch? I went with some SNES dunk videos, Norm Macdonald podcast clips, and an old standby, Big Bear Produce New Year's Eve 2023, taped in a garage in the Tokyo Zoo. That's a wrestling show, I think. So I'll let you guys go ahead. Favorite sick watches? Uh-oh.
Do you want me to start? Okay, so my old standby is Unsolved Mysteries. I've never been a Price is Right person.
Okay.
I've always, when I'm homesick, I watch Unsolved Mysteries. And let me tell you, the Unsolved Mysteries does not hold up, and it's so great because like those reenactments are ridiculous. And then when there's inevitably like, oh, there was a ghost who like, I don't know, burned down my house, or like, there's like, I found this weird sludge on my bush outside. It's great. They're always great. Never disappointed.
Okay.
My other go-to watches are, I will always rewatch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Rick and Morty. I watch a lot of Rick and Morty and Good Mythical Morning. Those are the things.
Okay.
Those are my go-tos.
All right.
My rewatches are Bob's Burgers,
Great show.
Letterkenny. And my son just introduced me to a sketch comedy show on Netflix that I had never seen before. I don't know how.
Okay.
It's called I Think You Should
You
Leave.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a motherfucking fever dream.
Have you seen? So there's a great wrestling sketch from that.
That one I haven't seen yet.
He does a promo as a wrestler who constantly gets beat, which is very funny. But you've
should
seen the
watch
drive-through one.
Yes.
The drive-through thing is great. Tim Robinson, is that his name?
Yeah.
We haven't watched that really. I've seen clips of it, and he's very funny.
Oh my
Everybody
God.
says that I should watch it.
It is a fever dream.
Yeah.
He turned it on before school one day, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" He's like, "Isn't this hilarious?"
Yeah.
I could imagine next time I'm sick, that will be something that I will just have on in the background while I'm drinking my chicken broth and laying on the couch.
Right. So I am a Price is Right guy. That was always like home from school sick was Price is Right. The one that I'm going to say, Ed, that I know you're going to be so happy about, and Michelle might also agree with this one. Tatum, I don't know if you've ever watched it, but it's similar to what a show Michelle said. But it's great because it's typically 15-minute episodes, so if you're in and out, you can usually catch it. And it is insane, and it is usually ran all day long. It is children's It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
Teen Titans Go is an incredible show. Ed, I know you know this.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic show. They made one of the best comic book movies. Teen Titans Go to the Movies is fantastic. It is, and because it's like 15-minute episodes, if you're in and out, it doesn't matter, if you're falling asleep or whatever.
And they made the video during COVID where if you washed your hands to the booty scooty, that was the right amount of time.
Exactly. It is also now officially DC's longest running animated show. So,
and it's the only DC property to ever have Stan Lee in
it's true.
it.
Stan Lee is in the movie. It really is fantastic, and it is just an all-around comfort show for me. Other than that, obviously, It's Always Sunny. I'm a big Thundercats fan. Like, Thundercats was my favorite cartoon when I was a kid, so I like watching Thundercats a lot. But that's, there's only
Last time I was sick,
episodes.
I did try to rewatch some of the Gummy Bears on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That was right.
I feel like this has been coming up a lot lately.
Yeah.
The
Gummy Bears. Yeah.
Remember David the Gnome?
I do.
Yes. I used to watch that when I was homesick. I also used to watch Fantasia.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Similarly, it's like, I don't know, 7 hours long or something like that. You could just like wake up and it was different. It's just symphony music and animated. So, yeah.
And that's what you need. It's like something that you can fall asleep.
Exactly.
And you just wake up and it doesn't matter what you've missed plot-wise.
Yeah.
All right. So Ed's second part of this question.
Oh. I forgot about the second part.
Second question. Maybe not second part.
Second
It is
question.
2-part, but it is a second question. Number 2. What's your favorite thing about Brett? We love Brett. He's such a positive dude and not in the fake put-on way like some people, in parentheses, Phil. And that's coming from a man who is, in fact, Phil-pilled, so it works. So I know that Ed asked this similarly when I wasn't on a show.
Yes.
Were you both here for that one, or was
Yes.
it? Was it? Okay. So, what's your favorite
What's my
thing
favorite
about Brett?
thing about Brett? It's
I like
so
that. I like that I'm
hard.
going to make Brett listen to an over 2-hour podcast before he gets to the part that we talk about.
I
him.
know.
Yep.
It's so hard to answer this because I love everything about Brett because he is
That's my dude.
He's my best friend and I love him.
Yeah.
But I love that he is like super positive and like honest when he's not positive. Like if he's not feeling positive, he'll tell you, but he's like super positive and then like he's like up for anything.
That was one of mine.
Yep.
Yeah, like
He's ready to go.
yeah, like it's like, oh my God, I need this to like I need to do this and he's like, let's go.
Yeah.
And I love that. And also I think he's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. He's so genuine,
Yes.
which I highly value
In every way.
in every way. Like,
If you make him mad, he's going to let you know. If you annoy him, he's going to let you know.
Yeah.
But if he's happy with you, you're also going to know.
Right.
Exactly. And I love and respect that so much. And also he gives really great hugs.
He is a good hugger.
Yeah. He sort of made me hug more. I'm not a hugger typically, but
You gotta hug,
I've
man.
unlocked
Hugs are the
I've
best.
unlocked that friendship hug,
Hugs
I
are
think,
the
because
best.
of him.
Yeah.
Like Michelle said, that's my dude. So like he always down, right? That's my road dog. That's my co-pilot.
Down to clown.
Down to clown. He's down with the clown. Whoop whoop. But yeah, just like, hopping in a car, he's the best road trip pal that you can have. He's also a good guy to have if you need backup in a situation of any kind, particularly if you're a wuss like me. But I like that. One of my favorite things about Brett is that at any moment, anywhere, at any time, it can become a dance party.
Yes.
At nearly anywhere.
We've had such the best. We had a couch dance party once.
Yeah.
I wish you were here for it, Tatum.
I do too.
It was like a 90s like retro night. We just had a couch dance party.
No, we had an Outcast dance party one night.
Yep.
Yeah.
We dance a lot.
Yeah.
We have a lot of dance parties.
In the car, we've had like a lot of like Prince dance parties.
Right.
I played Dirty Dancing with him.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so, you want to get in a car for 8 hours, he's down. You want to go for 2 hours, he's down. You want to go to the Wawa for pretzels, he's down. It's just, he's... And again, like, all the things you guys said, he's very genuine. He's very honest. He's a good guy to have around. And
something that's really important to me as the mother of a teenage straight edge son, straight edge hardcore kid.
Sure.
Brett is a really great role model.
Let me drink my booze real quick here.
He is.
Brett is a really great role model, and like will check in with Gavin and look out for him at shows, and that is really important to me too. That like that extends to my kid, whereas like a lot of people would just be like fucking annoying kids.
Gavin is not annoying.
No,
though.
not at all.
But I'm like, I can be a profoundly silly person. And so like, I really like making friends that can just be like silly with me.
Yeah.
Or like, I like, when people can appreciate my silliness, but like, I really love that. Like when people can be silly with me, and like Brett is definitely that person.
Yeah.
Him and I are just so similar in like taste wise in a lot of ways. So like, we share very similar wrestling views. We share very similar like movie and, TV stuff. Like, like we've kind of gotten in much more into horror movies than he ever was. But like, he's got me into more music and that kind of stuff. But like, we're very similar in like TV shows. Like we'll just constantly send each other jackass stuff and all that kind of stuff. So
well, and if he discovers something that's different, he's like, "Hey, I heard this band that you might like," or like, he's always sending recommendations.
Well, and like Ed said it in a genuine way, like he's not a piece of shit.
Yeah,
like, he doesn't even have to like seemingly try not to be a piece of shit.
He's just a good guy.
He's just not.
Yeah. So
we love you, Brett.
We love you, Brett.
Yeah, buddy. I don't know when you're listening to this, but enjoy the boat. I mean, I'm sure you are. You're on the boat currently. But next week we'll have you back, and we'll discuss everything, and then you can tell everybody thank you for saying nice things about you.
Don't thank us.
Michelle will listen
to
the podcast.
Yeah, first time ever.
I'll listen from the living room.
All right, thanks, Ed. Thanks, Ed, for your question. Next week, keep it to one part, buddy. But hope you're feeling better
Feel better, Ed.
All right. So. As I said, much longer than I anticipated keeping you guys here, but this was...
It's because I went... If we've gotten some key takeaways, it's exfoliate.
Right.
Moisturize.
Okay.
Take a look at those elbows, boys.
Yeah, right?
And be nice to each other.
There you go.
And stop giving blondes the microphone.
Those specific blondes. Just those two blondies.
Just those two blondes. So, I will be back next week with Brett. Thank you both for coming on, for making this not completely my burden, which is nice for this week because I was not up to it really. But I had a blast. So we went over twice as long as I thought we would.
Yikes!
So, which means this is going to be an extra long show for everybody because I do have 2 extra things that I'm going to put on here next with some guests to make this a true Friendsgiving episode. I was like, well, I'm going to get other people on because there's no way I'm going to get Michelle to talk about wrestling for longer than an hour.
I didn't. I mostly talked about exfoliating and how bad people's hair looks.
So you've got through this far. There's 2 bits next that are going to be a little little short-ish things, but not really, with some guests. I'll wait till they appear. But I'm going to do plugs here because that'll be easier because I'm not going to come back after the two little things. So when you hear the two interviews, that'll pretty much be it. So thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week. This has been We Need Wrestling. You can find us online at WeNeedWrestling.com. You can email the show at WeNeedWrestling@gmail.com. We're at We Need Wrestling on all social media. Primarily on Blue Sky because that's the more fun place right now. Where I like live tweet Dynamite, even though I didn't do it last night because me and Michelle were watching together, so I had to make sure she was engaged. But Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I have a link tree. I made a link tree. WeNeedWrestling.com or linktree.com/WeNeedWrestling. I have no idea how that works, but that's all there. So check all that out. We're on YouTube, all that. We're a proud member of the soon-to-be-named network at STBN Network on social media, soon-to-be-named network.tumblr. I'm making you do these. Soon-to-be-named network.tumblr.com, like old Wings on Wings days.
Yeah.
Wings on Wings is over, but go back
buy
and
our
listen.
hot sauce.
Buy a hot sauce. You can email this show. You can reach out to any one of us on social media, and we do have hot sauces. We'll ship them to you safely and securely, and then you will burn your mouth with deliciousness. And other things, Final Wrestling Place, that we talked about a bunch with Tim and Marcus, At Odds with Wrestling with Joe and Adam, Puzzle Warriors 3, Profane Argument, and I think that's Hayabusa Speed doesn't really exist anymore, but Ed's still out there.
Did you say Long Box Heroes?
Long Box Heroes After Dark. There you go. Thank you, Tatum. All our friends, all of our buddies that we all sort of travel and hang out together. So, but that's it. Thank you for listening. And do you guys have anything you want to plug?
Nope.
No, Michelle,
Hot sauce.
nothing. Hot sauce. That's it.
Just buy
hot
our
sauce.
Wings on Wings hot sauce.
You can email.
Wings on Wings podcast at gmail.com.
There you go, and that also works. Or hit us up on Instagram at _Wings on Wings, or this show, or wherever, and we will mail it to you. It's $10 plus shipping. Tatum, anything? Plug anything? You good?
I need to go to bed.
Okay, I'm sorry I kept you here so late. I didn't mean to, I promise. But thank you again for coming so much. It means the world. Next time I'll make Ed ask a question about what we like about you guys so we can butter you up at the end of a show. But thanks, everybody, and enjoy the two other things I recorded with some friends of the show, and we'll be back next week.
Bye, boys.
All right, here we are with my idea for the week, the first segment of my FriendsGiving episode of We Need Wrestling. This will be the first Skype segment where I bring in guests. And the first guest that I was able to schedule, kind enough to join me in this 1 week venture to make Brett happy when he comes back from vacation, is friend of the show, longtime friend, but first time we're ever really speaking. But someone I feel like I've known for a long time and is one of my favorite people I've met through this crazy venture is Silverthorne. Silverthorne's here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I
No,
really appreciate
of course. Thank you for doing it. I'm super excited that people agreed to talk to me, and I didn't have to go any further than the 3 people that I asked initially. So that's it's very nice. Because I don't know how much you keep up. I don't assume that anybody actually listens to the show, even though I know that there are a lot of people that do. But Tim and Marcus don't ever invite me on their show. They always invite Brett. So it's nice to know that I'm wanted outside.
Yeah, you have a family of wrestling fans that you can rely on. Absolutely.
Right. Outside of Final Wrestling Place, because they don't seem to like me. Tim's going to get very upset by that. So thank you for coming on again. I had this wild idea this week about doing this because life is crazy right now, as it is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And this was a fun idea that also took a bit of the pressure off of me. I don't know what the show is going to look like. This is, as we're recording it, it's Tuesday. Thursday, I will be doing more of what the weekly show is. So you've probably already heard that. but I don't really know. I'm going to
Time
throw it all
Cop,
together.
Time Cop.
Time Cop, right, exactly. Time Cop, blah, blah, blah. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Ron Silver or something. So we'll see where all that happens. But I reached out to a few people that I wanted to talk to, people that I like, people that I wanted to have fun conversations with. And I said, under 20-minute match, which almost all of you agreed to. And we'll watch a match and we're just going to hang out and talk. React to the match, talk about the match, talk about whatever. But something a little interesting, a little more interesting, a little different than we normally do it because it is the week after Thanksgiving and Brett is on a boat somewhere. So everyone has picked a match. I said whatever you wanted to watch, we'll watch. And you picked what match?
Yeah, so today we're going to be watching the Shibata versus Ishii match from the G1 Climax 23, which was 2013.
Yes.
And it looks like it was April 8th, or the other way around.
August 4th.
August 4th.
Yes. You're reading off Cage Match?
And I'm Canadian, yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is, in fact. The rest of the world does it differently than us Americans. I think is America the only place that doesn't flip-flop the dates like that? I know that we're also staunchly against the metric system for no reason. But also dates, maybe?
I think, we do month, day.
Okay.
I think. My computer does.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yes, August. Typically the G1 falls in the fall, and the summer and the fall. So it is August. And yeah, this is a round one matchup in this G1. And as you said to me when we were chatting about setting this all up, you've never seen pre-brain removal Shibata before.
Never. Yeah, the first time I ever saw him was when he showed up on ROH.
Okay. Wow. So like within the last couple of years.
Yes. Yeah. Well, my fandom of wrestling is super new.
Right. Yeah, we've talked about that, about how you've come into it. So what's your experience with Ishii?
So same thing.
Okay.
I discovered Ishii watching the G1 because you recommended it.
Okay.
And
Cool.
Instantly fell in love. Like the first time I ever saw him wrestle, he was my favorite wrestler. He hits harder than anybody. His fans, when you watch his fans in the audience, they are so in love with him. They're so excited for him. Those like old ladies that wear his towels.
Yes.
Like, there's something about him that is magnetic.
Yeah, I have a lot of conversations with people about Ishii because Ishii was very much my linchpin into getting caught back up on New Japan. It was pre-pandemic pre-pandemic, where I started getting back into wrestling and Japanese wrestling. Right. And Ishii was a guy that I saw and immediately was just like, yeah, this is my wrestler. This is my guy. So this match in 2013, I was not back watching. So I didn't see this match until years after it had happened. But once you get into Japanese wrestling, it is one of the most recommended matches for people to see. But I sort of got back into it because everyone was talking about Kenny Omega and Okada and how they were blowing up the world with 7 stars and all that. But Ishii remains my favorite, even though he doesn't win matches anymore, particularly not in AEW. He does give Jericho's best. He has Jericho's 2 last best matches.
Only good matches, yeah.
Right.
Actually, Shibata gave him his other good match.
Oh, that's true.
Trash can.
Yes, true.
In Winnipeg, yeah.
Yeah. Ishii, I've been tricked into buying multiple Japanese-sized Ishii T-shirts.
Yeah.
Because they say they're my size, but they're not. It's just what it is. So now they're like Hope t-shirts. They hang in my closet. I'm like, one day I'll figure out how I can fit into one of these. But
he was Michael's.
That's true. He remains my favorite. It is a constant battle between him and Taguchi, as being the two guys that I love the absolute most. But I think Ishii is one of the most consistent wrestlers of the last 10 to 15 years in all of professional wrestling. Some people don't. I've heard people talk about how he does sort of the same match over and over again, which I can't say I don't see, but I certainly don't agree with. I think he just gets so much out of little. He doesn't need to do the things that a lot of other people do.
And he provides a great base for every other wrestler to work around him with their own style.
Yes.
So even if he's wrestling the way that he is best at, he's allowing other people to blossom too, which is what makes it magic.
Yeah. One of my favorite matches that he's ever had, and one of his favorite opponents, is Zack Sabre Jr., because their styles clash so much. But Ishii can help Sabre highlight, and then Sabre sells, and it makes Ishii look better. Like, I love those matchups. I love, much like what we're going to see here, no spoilers, but like two guys beating the crap out of each other. But I also am always super impressed by Ishii when he mixes styles, whether it's against a high flyer or a more technical guy. And I'm glad that he's out there. I always hoped he would win the big one, the IWGP title. He never will, because he's not a New Japan homegrown guy. They're sort of in some ways changing that, but I think Ishii's window for that is gone. Although I could argue that if you wanted to regain trust in the company and from Japanese fans in particular, I think they would still to this day react huge to Ishii winning the big belt.
Somebody who can still walk.
Yes, right.
Yeah, somebody who doesn't seem to get injured at all, actually.
Yeah, he's had some injuries, but he's tough and works through them. You know, his arm was wrapped for like 2 years, and his knee is currently wrapped, but it just, you know, he has that particular grit where he won't stop. It's, you know, he comes from Tenryu and Riki Choshu. So, which, if I back that up far enough, is from Terry Funk. So just what it, Terry Funk trained Tenryu trained Ishii. It's just the way it is. But, yeah, he's just, I've talked with Marcus about him, about Ishii, and just how complete of a wrestler he is. And he's one of the guys that tricks you into thinking that what he does is easy.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just that he's that good, right? That's the trick.
It's the very Eddie Kingston.
Yeah. Right.
Like when they appear in wrestling, they look like that's their everything. Like it's just how they breathe.
Yes. And not to pay attention to Shibata, who has had a much different career. Very similar in some ways, but, you know, Shibata left New Japan and got a little shunned, tried to enter MMA, and came back. And I think this is like right around the time that he came back, to
that first time.
New Japan, the first time. Yeah, this is pre-brain removal, but like, he quit New Japan. You hear Michelle sneezing in the background. She's trying so hard not to sneeze. She's gonna hurt herself. But yeah, Shibata leaves, sort of not happy with the direction that he's given in the company, and then my text, and then comes back, and it takes a while for people to start to like Shibata, because they feel like they have that sort of loyalty to the company and that he left, and, you know, and it wasn't until a few years later, I mean, you'll see in this match why he is who he is and has the reputation he has as the wrestler, and he's amazing. But then the brain removal happens. He's gone again. He comes back and sort of interacts with Kenta when Kenta jumped over from Noah, and, you know, and then Shibata currently stands in AEW and Ring of Honor because he went against New Japan's wishes and had a match when he wasn't cleared in their ring. He tricked them. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that, no.
So it was on a Wrestle Kingdom, I think. That part could be wrong. But he was training Ren Narita as his mentor. He was in charge of the dojo, but he wasn't cleared for in-ring work. But they were letting him do wrestling exhibitions on some shows. Purely mat-based holds, sort of just grapple wrestling. No strikes, no hits to the head to protect him. And they went out to the ring. They got their entrances. And he yells at Ren Narita and forces Ren Narita to have an actual match against him. And they beat the crap out of each other. And New Japan flipped out and basically shunned him.
And just only recently brought him back for that memorial that they did.
Yeah, right. So
that was his first time back.
Yeah, he had a story of coming back and with Kenta and sort of and Goto and all that. But yeah, so he really pissed off the office of New Japan, and that was why he's solely in AEW Ring of Honor now, is because Tony Khan called him and was like, well, come wrestle here, because New Japan basically said we're not going to trust you to wrestle ever again because you went into business for yourself.
Right. Okay,
so,
that's fair enough.
Yeah. But the brain is healed. It was put back in properly. And he remains a fantastic wrestler also. But I guess let's get into the match. I'm so excited for you to watch this match. I know you said you looked up a little bit about it. You don't know a ton. And we'll talk about it during and maybe a little bit after. But if you're ready.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll go. We're just going to do a countdown because we are technologically backwards because I'm on a Mac. So we'll just go 3, 2, 1, click.
Perfect.
There you go.
And already.
Yep, it's right into the match. I'll put these links up for people where they can to get them if possible. But yeah, this is.
And Ishii looks the exact same. It's 11 years.
Yep.
His neck is bigger now.
Yeah, his traps are a little taller here. He's definitely like gotten slightly smaller, but he's still like that same shape.
Yeah, he's not a little wrestler. He's just a little man.
Yes. Yeah, and this match is off to like the fastest start you could possibly have.
Yeah, bell ring in there, just punching each other in the faces with their elbows. Yeah,
it is. As I said, it's opening match of the G1. I think Ishii has less hair now. I think if he was to grow that back in a little bit, I don't know that it would be as dark on the top of his head.
And he has different eyebrows. That's the soon-to-be named network eyebrow commentator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different in what way? Like they're shaped differently?
Yeah, they're shaped differently. They're much sharper in 2013.
Okay.
There's more of an arch to them.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder what happened. I wonder if he started seeing a different person. Maybe he started getting them threaded. Is that a thing that people still do?
Or maybe as they turn silver, they're kind of just not.
That's true.
Just letting them go.
Yeah. It's just two no-nonsense guys. You can hear the crowd in the background just freaking out. As you said earlier when we were leading into this, like, Ishii's fans are like so loyal and so vocal that like they really do like everything he does they react to. It's really impressive.
But that being said, there's very little Western merch for him.
Yeah, right.
Like, I know that there was an action figure that I missed because I didn't know who he was. So now it's $200.
Yes.
I can't get a neck towel. They just don't exist except for on eBay.
Okay.
And there's a few shirts, but they're all just kind of his name or the dog.
Yep.
There's nothing that kind of pops.
Yeah.
Who he is as a wrestler.
I have a few. I have like the Stone Pitbull basic one with the dog.
Yeah.
I have the action figure that I bought. That was the only one that I bought when it came out.
Adam has one. It makes me so mad.
Yeah, I was like, I have to have the Ishii one. It's the best one that they made. I bought the Tanahashi one later. Oof, those are big kicks. I bought the Tanahashi one loose later for a really good price. But the Ishii one is the best one, and it comes with the Never belt, which is his belt. That's I don't care who holds it for longer or more. I think Shingo's matching his reigns right now with it. But it's Ishii's belt forever.
Right. So watching him scream into punches is an unbelievable sight.
Yes.
Oh. And Shibata actually wrestles almost the exact same now.
Yeah. Shibata hasn't changed. He is a little more protective of his skull, only slightly. Have you seen that match with the headbutt that causes the brain injury?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, so the brain injury happens because he shoot headbutts Okada.
It was Okada. Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was Okada, and blood trickles. There's a line of blood that trickles down his head, and he had massive swelling. But it's from a shoot headbutt, which is a crazy thing.
Gross.
Yeah. And then the Dave Meltzer rumor that they had his brain removed.
Right. Yeah, which I've heard.
Yeah.
Multiple people tell me that he had his brain removed. Yeah.
But I have also back on the merch thing. I bought when we went to New Japan in DC a few months back. I bought one of the few Japanese size T-shirts that they said was my size and is in fact a size smaller. And it's like a caricature of him. It says nothing. It's just a drawing of Ishii. You saw the shirt that I'm wearing now. Not like that. It's more realistic. It's a black shirt. And it has it is a very funny, I'll send you a picture of it. It's a very funny, almost caricature of him. And I loved it. I was like, well, I'm going to buy it. And then when they handed it to me, it was in a very nice, high quality plastic zip up bag. And I was like, oh, this is an American merch. I'm screwed.
Yeah.
But I already paid for it. So I took it home.
It's still treasure whether you can wear it or not. Yeah.
Yes. And they do. And so, I was one of the few that had. I love those kicks to the head. I love it when Ishii just refuses to act like they hurt him.
Yeah.
So they do. So I was one of the people that lost my information to Pro Wrestling Tees a couple years back.
Yeah, I remember that.
But they do have some Ishii stuff. But the New Japan store you can buy. I believe they're boxer shorts of his shorts, which is
okay with the lightning ish.
Yes. Yep. It's very funny.
I could wear that. Yeah.
Yes. And otherwise, I don't know. Like you said, other than the towel and stuff, I don't know if they sell the weight belts or any of that kind of stuff.
That would be phenomenal.
But and I don't know if AEW ever did any Ishii merch. I think he's on a conglomeration shirt, but I don't know that they did. They did anything.
And do you know the artist on Instagram that does the Eddie Kingston looking like Peanuts character?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They drew Ishii as well.
Yeah.
And I think they have merch of that, which I would love to own someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually reached out to them to ask permission to use their drawing as a tattoo, and they never replied.
Oh.
It broke my heart.
Bummer.
I don't want to do it without permission. That's
sure. Yeah, I've done that a few times. Yeah. But yeah, so I know we're discussing things as where we are right now. Shibata just put Ishii in a Boston Crab, and we're about halfway through the match.
And he's screaming, absolutely screaming.
Absolutely screaming. This is such a wild match.
So much taller than him. So when he bends into the crab, it just looks gross.
Yeah, it's like an incidental Walls of Jericho Lion Tamer, the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
It's just because they just can't do it any other way. So
his legs aren't long enough there.
Yeah, right. Did you ever see the video of Ishii that Chuck Taylor took when they went to pick him up for a show the one day and he was walking down an alleyway to get into the van?
No.
I can't find it. It exists. It's just hard out there. If anybody has it, let me know. But Chuck Taylor took it when he was in Japan, doing the best friend stuff with Trent, and because they were in Chaos together, the stable.
Right. Yeah.
And it's Ishii, and he's in like flip flops walking down an alleyway to get in the van, and he's in like little round sunglasses. It's very funny to see like street clothes Ishii.
Because he's had the same worker uniform for.
Oh yeah, his hasn't really his New Japan run at least hasn't really ever changed. He was always in the shorts, like the longer refusing the Germans. So good. Oof. The sweat, like,
and a real clothesline.
Yeah, sweat flying, crazy. But yeah, he used to wear the longer ones, like the I don't know if you know what I mean, but like the Masa Saito, where they were like
almost to your socks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He used to wear those earlier, but this has been this sort of right above the knee length tights with the lightning bolts and the big weight belt has been his look in New Japan and through now. Like, this is still what he looks like.
How do you wrestle with a weight belt? Like,
I don't know.
It must restrict you so much.
Yeah, I know. As a person with back problems, that it does sort of force you to be mindful of the way you're bending.
Okay.
And sort of force you, like, oof, these elbows. To not bending properly, it sort of makes you bend the right way, in some ways, and helps with posture. But I don't know if that's the case here. Like, I know 3 wrestlers off the top of my head that wear weight belts like this, and only one of them's ever wrestled in it, and it's Ishii. So
yeah, Cody Rhodes being one of the other.
Right, he takes it off and throws it in the crowd, and it's thrown back at him.
Kids and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and the other one we don't talk about because he's bad and terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just such a captivating wrestler to me. Both of these guys are, and this is just a dogfight.
Yeah, they're really trying to murder each other and nothing else. It's
It is, and so they
roaring at each other, like,
just screaming. Yeah.
Oh,
there you go. There was the headbutt.
I love Ishii headbutts, running headbutts specifically, but this is no. Now that you told me that, I'm just
it was a shoot headbutt that took his brain out. The interesting thing with Ishii and his headbutts also is that because he's typically shorter than his opponent, they always come from underneath and in a seemingly dangerous way.
And like a jaw breaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then because Shibata is so much taller, that one was just a forehead to the top of the skull. Yeah. And they're both currently down. One of the interesting things about this match as we get very close to the end of it is this sort of ushered in this style in New Japan. Sort of the new era strong style. That's not it's not completely divorced from what Inoki was trying to do, but it is different. It's harder, it's faster, and it becomes a thing that these guys have been doing for the next decade.
Oh, so Ishii's spitting up because he's being choked right now.
Right, he just has a regular choke on. Shibata does. Ishii's just frothing at the mouth, reaching for the ropes. Oh, and he got there. You can hear the crowd going crazy. Oh, and an enziguri. Jeez.
And then a knee stomp to the head. Yeah.
Some of the things that make these guys work so well. What a close line. Hold on. Let's just enjoy this for a second.
I wish I didn't have the timestamp viewable right now.
I know, right? That was the brain buster. There it is. This is, and that, I mean, that's the entire match. Everybody in the crowd's going crazy. It's absolutely fantastic, and it is something that did usher in that new era of wrestling that a lot of people do, influenced a ton of people around the world, which is really, really, really cool. But it's also like, I'm pretty sure it's a 5-star match, that like an actual rated 5-star match that is the shortest 5-star match.
Oh, yeah, that's quite possible. I have Cage Match open, but not the.
Yeah, not the like Observer.
Yeah, I don't know how to even do that.
Yeah, I'd have to look.
But it was phenomenal. It is super short. I could have watched it for another 15 minutes easily.
Yes.
And should we give away the ending?
The ending of the match?
Yeah, or just make people watch it.
Oh, no. I mean, Ishii hits the Brainbuster and wins.
Yeah.
It's just a sprint. I don't know. You can count on one hand how many actual wrestling moves I think are done in that match. It's just two dudes running at each other. And it's the best of that.
Yeah, elbows, knees, heads, and forearms. Yeah.
And one of the things that I like about watching wrestlers like Ishii and Shibata is that, like, it's okay when it's not pretty.
Yes.
You know, like there's a part in that match towards the end when Shibata's coming off the ropes and he just drops that knee on the back of Ishii's head. And like, it wasn't pretty. You know, there was no wind up. Usually the strikes are played to the crowd a little more. But like in matches like that, it's allowed to be ugly.
Yeah, you see an opportunity to actually hurt somebody because you want to win this so bad, and you take it.
Right.
It's not time to,
It's just so cool that way because, like, again, I'm not. That's my preferred style of wrestling. I like that's what gets me the most sort of out of my, like, I know that this isn't real thing.
No, this feels real. Absolutely.
Right. It feels real. And like, I'm not knocking anything, but when you watch Will Ospreay or, you know, the guys who do that stuff the best, even Omega to a point, and they're phenomenal wrestlers and they do amazing things and they are changing the game still. But like when they do something of theirs and it's not as pretty as it normally is, everybody's like, yeah, see that wasn't as good.
Right.
But when Shibata just drops a random knee on the back of your head, like, oh yeah, because this is a fight.
And it makes me want to watch more of his matches. I have liked him in his AEW and RH stuff, but yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this murder instinct in him.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal wrestler. You know, Shibata was pegged as one of the new Three Musketeers. You know, he came in at the same time as Tana, and again, he quits the company and all that, which does affect his career, but yeah, he is just an absolute killer. He's called the wrestler for a reason because he's also incredibly technically sound, but has that sort of personality of push me to the limit, and I'm just gonna forearm you in the mouth until you stop. It's really, I can't recommend enough. I'll have to put together a list. Brett is much more versed on Shibata than I am. Because he just tends to go back and watch more of that stuff.
So he'll hear this and then be able to feed me.
But yeah, I mean, Shibata, much like Ishii, is one of those guys that, like, I'll just watch it because the chances are it's great, right? Like, that's, you know, there's that crop of wrestlers in New Japan from that era, because 2013, so like Okada catches on in 2012 and becomes the god that he is.
He won that year, right? That was
and that's, so then the next 10 years are Okada dominant, but like that roster underneath him is really remarkable wrestlers where you're just like, okay, yeah, I'll just watch anything. Like, I'll just pick anything up and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be entertaining. You're almost guaranteed for it to be good. It is a prime one of the prime eras of Japanese wrestling as a whole, and especially New Japan.
Well, I'm looking at the rest of this bracket just for the G123, and there's insane people in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has Prince Devitt.
Yep.
Finn Balor.
Yes.
Shelton Benjamin's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Shinsuke Nakamura's in it. It's unbelievable, all these people that.
Yeah.
Suzuki,
Lance Archer.
I don't know who Davey Boy Smith is.
Davey Boy Smith Jr., British Bulldog's son. You know the British Bulldog?
Vaguely. He had braids, like little. Yeah,
sure. So Davey Boy Jr., that's Davey Boy Smith died whenever that was. Worldwide star in the 80s and 90s in WWE. Growing up in the 90s, and that sort of being when I first got into wrestling, his Hasbro has the braids. So he was the big steroided up British Bulldog, and he was awesome. And that's his son, who's actually right now, Davey Boy Jr. is All Japan Triple Crown champion.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, he was in Suzuki-gun in New Japan. He used to be a tag team with Lance Archer.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. So
yeah, Lance is in this one too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Lance is an underrated guy. But yeah, and I mean Shinsuke Nakamura is in this G1.
Yeah, I think I actually want to just go back and watch it if I can.
It's a good year. It's a good year for sure. So, and this is Prince Devitt, Finn Balor. I don't know the exact timeline. I don't know when like Bullet Club happens with him and everything. But he, as a junior, in New Japan, tagged up with Taguchi, and that was sort of, they were a tag team for a while. Taguchi was his mentor. So.
And did they do the comedy wrestling or just?
No. So Taguchi, the comedy, not that it wasn't there, but it becomes his main act a little bit later than that. He has Taguchi Japan that has a lot of weird members, including like the current WWE, the Viking Raiders. They were in Taguchi Japan.
Okay, cool.
But the Bullet Club is formed when Prince Devitt betrays Taguchi and turns heel. So that is the catalyst that starts the Bullet Club as we all know it today, is because Prince Devitt turns on Taguchi. Not only because, but that is one of their main contributing factors. So
that's the reason why AEW exists as well. Then that's what
essentially
you're telling me. Yeah.
Essentially, yes. Taguchi's responsible for all of it.
Thank you for your service.
Yes. What a lovely human being Taguchi is. But yeah, it's really crazy to see like Shelton Benjamin, who's on TV again now, looking fantastic. It's really it's a fun time to be in wrestling, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's a good time. Everybody's starting to come back up. New Japan had some downtime because AEW stripped their roster.
Yeah, stole all their heroes.
Yeah. And also one of the coolest things for me too was going to my first New Japan show in Philly years ago, and seeing some friends I knew, and they were like, Ishii's in the other room doing autographs, and I was like, what?
Oh my god!
And in the he was just in the like next to the merch table in the ECW arena, which is barely ECW arena now, 2400 arena. And he was just standing at a table with a sign that just had $20 on it.
Good for him.
And he just walked over and you handed him $20 and you got a picture with him. And it was him, Sonata, and Goto. So I got to meet all three of those guys at once. But Ishii's the best. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to meet the guy that's like, he's literally like my favorite wrestler at that time. And then since then I've gotten to meet Taguchi also. So it all works out, at the 2400 arena, where now the Peanut Gallery, like Brett's listening to this and he was like, oh, you also met Ash by Elegance there. So.
And also got a picture. Yeah.
That's true. I did. She liked my t-shirt. But that being said, I don't want to keep you any longer. This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I got more calls to make, more people to bring in. and matches that are nearly twice the length. But super excited that you picked this one. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say to the audience before we hang up and go our separate ways?
No, I just think that this is a rabbit hole that I've now fallen under. Like, I already was in the Ishii rabbit hole, but now I'm just going to watch like 10-year-old G1s for the rest of the week.
Yeah,
while I deal with Black Friday customers.
So you do New Japan World does have all that stuff up. That's basically the place to get it. And I don't know. I did see that there was some sort of postal strike in your home country of Canada. Yeah,
our federal mail system is currently on strike.
Yeah.
The Canada Post is trying to basically gigify the entire postal service and fire all of their pension employees to replace them with like cheap labor.
Sure, cool.
Super evil. So solidarity, regardless that we can't get any mail, it's
right.
Always solidarity with them.
Absolutely, 100% support that. But I think IVP videos, if they ship internationally, or you can buy downloads from them too. Check out IVP. Okay. I can send you a link.
Yes, please.
That's a great resource too. That's a guy who has a lot of wrestling that is available. So, but I'm glad to get you turned on to this and to get you to scratch that itch, because there's a lot of stuff to see from both these guys from that whole era. There's a lot of great things. So just watching old G1s would be a really, really great thing to do. You're guaranteed a lot of really great stuff.
Yes. But yeah, I think it's going to be awesome.
Again, thank you so much for doing this. I was super pumped to talk to you. Thank you for being a fan and a friend.
Thank you.
And Brett and I talk all the time privately about how we've built this little community, or helped contributed to this community that we all have. So it's really cool.
It's pretty special. It is
to find people that are like-minded and cool about everything, not just wrestling. So it is my pleasure to talk to you and to do this. So this just made my night. So thank you so much again.
It doesn't have to be on record.
Yeah, that would be fun. And if people like this, I think I can convince Brett to make this a more regular thing and put the burden of entertaining shows on other people.
Well, you guys deserve breaks too.
Yeah. So, but again, thank you so much. I'll let you go, and I'll be back with whoever the next person happens to be.
Have a great rest of the show and a great night. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right, part 2. Maybe I haven't decided on an order of any of this yet. So conceivably, this is part 2 of the guest spots of what I'm tentatively calling WeNeedWrestling's FriendsGiving episode. By now, everyone knows that Brett is not here. At least I hope they know. And I have my second guest friend, listener of the show, who's agreed to come on and make this podcast their problem. And that is friend to all, the unofficial 6th, 7th, and 8th chair of Wings on Wings, the music man for the Pseudo Medium Network, the utility player, the overall universal 6th man of the entire network.
That's right.
Mr. David Kincannon, how are you, my friend?
I am great, DJ. Thank you for having me on. This is going to be a blast.
Thank you for coming on. This was put together somewhat hastily. I had things I had to prioritize before I could focus on this, and you and a few other people were kind enough to agree and take time out of your day and or night. So I appreciate it. I'm excited to talk to you about the match you chose and just hang out with you for a little bit.
Absolutely.
And just watch wrestling with my pals.
I love it.
And you were always right up there on the list. One of my favorite people. I'll say that across the air. One of my favorite people.
Oh, thank you.
I will not give Tim the crap that I gave him in the previous segment. You'll have to listen to that. But Timsy does not come out of this episode unscathed. But I love him, as we all do. So let's talk. What match did you pick? Why did you pick it?
Okay, so I picked a match that I had not watched. It's not a super old match. It is pre-pandemic, which I guess sort of dates it.
Sure.
But so we're gonna go back to 2018. A very different wrestling world at that point.
Very different.
No AEW. There is no WeNeedWrestling at this point.
There is not.
So we're going to watch Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan from Survivor Series 2018. This was the champion versus champion match. It was sort of, I think this was when they were still kind of doing like Raw versus SmackDown, like trying to see who wins more matches on the night.
Okay.
And so I think that gets mentioned a couple times on commentary, but I had never seen this match until a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
I am a fan and listener of an ROH retrospective podcast called Through the Years.
Yes, Trevor Dame, correct?
Trevor Dame and Matt Feuerstein, and they recently did a 6-hour Bryan Danielson episode.
Okay, wow.
And they were talking a little bit about matches outside of Ring of Honor, and this was one of the ones that Matt had recommended, and I was like, well, I've never seen that, so I sat down and I watched it, and spoiler alert, I guess, I was blown away by this match.
It's a great match, absolutely.
It's great. I'm not a Brock Lesnar guy.
Okay.
I am a Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson guy.
All the way.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I did have another match that I was looking at that I would like to talk to you about very quickly.
Okay.
Do you know who Maddie Wahlberg is?
I do not. Is that the Wahlberg brother that owns Wahlburgers?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Maddie Wahlberg was the ring name of an Australian professional wrestler.
Okay.
Who is now in the WWE.
Okay.
Grayson Waller.
Oh.
I found a match when I was trying to pick matches last night between Maddie Wahlberg and Orange Cassidy.
Oh, weird.
I was going to pick it, but there's a little bit too much nonsense at the beginning.
Okay.
So it had too long of a lead in, but if anybody wants to watch Grayson Waller before he was Grayson Waller,
yeah,
it's kind of fun.
That's wild. Is it in Australia?
It is. It's for Pro Wrestling Australia. It's it's after Double or Nothing, but it's like 2 weeks before OC makes his like proper Dynamite debut.
Oh, okay.
So it was interesting.
Yeah.
And fun.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I don't have an opinion one way or another on Grayson Waller necessarily. Sure. But OC, that's, I've been around that guy a long time. Or with that guy a long time. So, but and the same thing with Bryan Danielson. I'm gonna listen. I've never listened to an episode of Through the Years, although I do enjoy Trevor Dame and have interacted with him a few times on the social media. But he is my guy. Like, I think a lot of people share that story, but like, that was, I even talked about this, with Silverthorne, going to Ring of Honor in 0304, like seeing Danielson was life changing for me as a wrestling fan. And then just being able to follow his entire career and be one of those guys that is like the indie darling that everyone loves and knew should be the biggest star in the world and manages to become it is really remarkable.
It is.
So, and especially, not that I'm fine with little wrestlers, unlike some people. But his stature, I think, for a lot of other instances would have been a bigger detriment. And I think it was a bit of a detriment to him. Sure. But his passion and his ability was able to completely overcome it. And he is probably the best in-ring professional wrestler I've ever seen, and if not, he's 1B to Bret Hart. So
yep, I'm sort of in that same boat. Unfortunately, I came to him late,
right?
Because I didn't, the mid 2000s, I was just kind of out of wrestling.
Sure,
just wasn't paying any attention. Came back in a little bit around the time, of ECW One Night Stand.
Okay.
Got a little bit into TNA when they were on Spike initially, and then kind of faded back out until 2010.
Yeah.
And so by that time, he's already Bryan Danielson by that point.
Yeah.
And I remember knowing who he was when he started in the game show version of NXT.
Okay. Right.
But not really having had all that much other than seeing clips and the occasional YouTube video.
Have you ever seen him wrestle Kamala?
I have never seen that match.
It's very fun.
I need to. Is that on Honor? That should be on Honor Club, right?
It's gotta be. It's out there somewhere.
I'll find it and watch it at some point.
Or no, I don't know. No, he was Ring of Honor champion, but it wasn't in Ring of Honor.
Okay.
So it might not be on Honor Club. I don't know what they, if the championship was defended, I don't know what rights they have to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's really just an interesting wrestler, and being an East Coaster, you're out there in the other, not quite the other side of the country, but far enough away. That Ring of Honor being sort of an East Coast promotion was something that us Pennsylvaniaites, I think that's the term for us, benefited from.
Sure.
Sort of whether it be New Jersey or Philly, because Philly was their home, and then even eventually when they get moved to Baltimore for whatever reasons, it's still relatively close. So I think that was a benefit, because the DVDs came out, but streaming services weren't a thing. It was still,
right.
You still needed to know somebody who knew somebody.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And it was definitely, I know later on they would start making trips to the West Coast, but it was, they never stopped here.
Yeah. Right.
Indie wrestling in Denver wasn't a thing that I was even aware of until maybe 2013.
Okay.
When the promotion that is now Rocky Mountain Pro, I happened to stumble upon Matt Morgan was coming to town, and I happened to see a Twitter post.
Sure.
And me and a couple of friends went, and
yeah,
I rode with them until Vince Russo came in, and then
yeah, well,
I was like, I'm gonna go over here to Lucha Libre and Laughs then.
Yeah.
So.
That's a story that's happened a lot in professional wrestling.
Sure
I'm with the company until they bring in Vince Russo.
Yep, that's the way it goes.
That's how that works.
Yep.
But yeah, so if you're ready, I'm
Absolutely.
ready. We can get into this guy here.
Let's do
on YouTube.
So Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, Survivor Series 2018. All right. I love the way that he comes right out of the gates.
Yeah.
Because it makes perfect sense with the sort of uphill battle that he's facing.
Right.
This is an interesting time for Daniel Bryan as a character, because he had just come back earlier in 2018. I think at WrestleMania that year was his first match back after the 4-year hiatus.
Sure.
Or 3-year hiatus. He's doing the new Daniel Bryan gimmick.
Yeah.
And this is right after he beat AJ for the title.
Okay. So because I'm a little more ignorant to this time period, I remember watching it when it happened, but I was sporadic even then.
Sure.
The environmentalists angle, that was
it's 2 months after this. It's
okay.
I think it's in January that because it's this title reign.
Okay. Cool.
But it's a couple of months later that he comes out and he throws the belt in the trash and brings out his hemp and leather belt.
Yeah.
Damn ads.
It's all right. Yeah, and Lesnar's just a killer. I mean, Lesnar's always been a killer.
Sure.
I'm a very big fan of young Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
I think motivated Brock Lesnar is incredible to watch. Oh, he's taunting Lesnar there. What a move.
He's doing Lesnar's dance. Dance.
Beautiful. It did look more like a dance when Daniel Bryan was doing it, or Danielson doing it.
Looked like a jig.
But Lesnar's a murderer. I mean, this is again, because I don't know the timeline. Was this around when he was squashing Cena and all that stuff?
This is after that, because this is even after after the Goldberg stuff.
Oh, really?
Even.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the Goldberg stuff was 2016.
Okay.
So this is he's kind of, I think he's been gone and came back.
Yeah.
At some point. I don't remember who he won this title from.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Let me pull up WrestleMania 34 on Wikipedia and see what he's got going on here. Let me. I've got a wide screen, so I can do a bunch of videos here. So, let's see. SmackDown General Manager, blah blah blah.
It's done so well because he's now basically a lump in the mat that Lesnar is dragging around by the ankles.
Right.
And it is the story that needs to be told here. Lesnar screaming Suplex City, but he is the smaller guy. He's absolutely the underdog. And, Lesnar is a monster that in real fighting would just swallow people up.
Right.
So
Brock Lesnar was already champion at that WrestleMania.
Okay.
So he's had this belt for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the structure of this match is such that it makes perfect sense because it's the guy who's an underdog, but doesn't really know the meaning of the word quit.
Right.
Has already had his career taken from him once.
Mm-hmm.
And has all the motivation to just keep going.
Right. And he's also a guy that conceivably was told to wrestle a safer, lighter style so as not to continue with concussions and neck injuries and all that. And then he's I'll fight Brock Lesnar for the title, or he just throws me around like a rag doll for 18 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, he's just such a good wrestler.
Yeah.
And again, Lesnar, he is too. Do I want to have a conversation with Brock Lesnar or share a meal? Not particularly.
So my feelings on Brock Lesnar are complicated.
Yeah.
Partially because, like I said earlier, I was out.
Sure.
During his in his initial run.
Okay.
I was kind of seeing stuff kind of back and forth. I knew who he was.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really paying attention.
Okay.
And so the first times I really saw him wrestle was when he came back to the WWE in 2012, and he's having the matches with Cena.
Yeah. Because I lived the shooting star.
Right.
Which I'm sure you've seen. If anybody listening hasn't, maybe don't. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I wouldn't suggest it.
But yeah, I remember the early days where he was just the biggest dude, traps up to his ears.
Yeah.
Absolute monster.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that he doesn't own a phone. If you need to call him, his phone's at the end of his 100-yard driveway on a pole. That I appreciate about him. I just,
Yeah, sure.
I just don't need to. I don't want to share a meal with him necessarily. I wouldn't want to talk to him on a podcast. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
But so in that way, he's as opposed as you could possibly get for me from Daniel Bryan, who I love. Bryan Danielson, I adore. He seems like a wonderful fellow. And just have to make some sort of vegan meal or vegetarian. I know he doesn't do soy anymore.
Right.
But yeah, that I could not love Well, I could. There's one professional wrestler maybe that I love more than him.
Right.
I think we all know who that is. But I just got a text from Brett, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
The match here. But I think I don't know what's happening. He just sent me a video of Lou Bega on the on the cruise ship.
Is Lou Bega's on the cruise ship?
I think so.
Wild.
There's people at least dancing.
What
to Mambo
number 5?
Is
he on by now?
I don't know. Mambo 39.
It's been almost 30. It's been 25 years. What Mambo number is this?
I mean, it is a guy in a tiny hat singing Mambo number 5, and the text just said Lou Bega motherfucker. So I don't know. Anyway, there's
Crazy.
an update. There's an update from Brett's vacation. He'll know exactly when we recorded this when he listens.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Um,
So one of the things that I thought was interesting was the absolute strength of Brock Lesnar, despite how it is impressive.
Yeah, he is a freak of nature.
The way he lifts Bryan up by his neck and head,
yes,
and just throws him into a bear hug and then turns that into a suplex.
Mm-hmm.
And then these release Germans. I think he goes on a little bit of a spree right here.
Yeah, and that was what he was doing. That was the Cena through Goldberg through everybody kind of thing, where he just threw these sick Germans.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he really. Did you ever see any of his UFC fights?
No, because I'm not a UFC guy. I like my hand-to-hand combat to be scripted.
Sure. Me too, mostly. But he was a phenomenon there, but it was he just used his size. When he lost to Randy Couture, he was like, I'm not going to fight with anybody. I'm just going to lay on you. And he's talented, but he just was just this absolute freak. Cause when you get in his division in quote unquote real fighting, the heavyweight or super heavyweight division is limitless. So but there's a low weight requirement.
Right.
But then, if that low weight requirement is 220 pounds, if you're 350 pounds, you're fighting a 220 pound guy and it's technically the same weight class. So
right.
He just used his size and bullied people, basically. Yeah. Very similar to his wrestling career, only his wrestling career was more interesting. Sure. A lot more just sort of physically laying on people to snuff them out in the UFC. But yeah, he just, at this point, even him here is a smaller version of him, which is hard to believe.
Right.
Is just an absolute monster.
Yeah.
And I hope he never comes back.
Same.
But
I have no interest in another Brock Lesnar run. I would like to give a shout out in this match to the third man, not the ref. Paul Heyman.
Yes.
I love Paul Heyman specifically as Brock Lesnar's advocate.
Okay.
Because he does the thing because if you've seen a Brock Lesnar match, especially against a smaller wrestler, he does the thing where he's like mock, oh my God, how can I allow him to do this?
Right.
This is terrible how he's beating up this person, whoever the opponent is.
Right.
And it's so melodramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously this is where
right.
Daniel Bryan starts to make his comeback with some kicks.
With the kicks in the head. And good on Lesnar selling like this. I don't know that Lesnar's a guy that I would say necessarily went to business for himself, but he's definitely a guy that you had to earn.
Yes.
Right? There goes the ref bump. He definitely sort of is the guy that would, if he had that wild hair up his ass, if he didn't like you or didn't have that respect for you, he would purposefully make you look bad.
Yeah.
And there was nothing you could do about it.
And he is exceptionally giving. in this match.
Absolutely.
As we get into this stretch of the match.
Yeah.
To Bryan.
I don't know that they're like, is Bryan Danielson have an enemy? Is he one of the most liked guys?
It seems like it.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the old sort of adages about wrestling with, if you come out of pro wrestling with 5 friends, you're lucky and all that sort of stuff. Like, I don't know that anybody hates him. I don't know that he's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I think he is just like that good of a human and that talented of a guy that everybody just sort of respects the hell out of him.
Sure.
And like, again, to see Lesnar sell like he is right now from these kicks, it's, again, it's his job, but like, I've seen lesser people sell way less. Like, lesser wrestlers sell way less for really great wrestlers. So, yeah. And it's also crazy that, like, in AEW now, like, in their like OVW days, Lesnar and Shelton Benjamin were a tag team.
Right.
And to think that, like, Shelton's still on TV too, and like Shelton doesn't get the credit. Shelton also a complete freak of nature. Yeah. Very well paired up guys in their youth of just being wrestle machines. But I think at this point, Benjamin is the more well-rounded. And the careers split. Lesnar didn't have to become a ring general necessarily. I think he knows how to put matches together and he's talented in that way. But like Benjamin, whatever it was that, being a tag team wrestler, any of the other hurdles that were in front of him in wrestling sort of made him become more of a well-rounded wrestler.
Absolutely.
And like you were saying with Heyman, I'm a big Heyman guy. Another guy that I would like to talk to, I would enjoy to talk to Paul Heyman on a podcast, but I would watch my wallet around him. Like, if we went out to dinner, I would make sure I had enough money to cover the whole bill.
That's absolutely right, because you're probably getting alligator armed.
Yeah. But like a really fascinating wrestling character that, by whatever means necessary, has kept himself relevant, and out of cement shoes.
Yeah. For all of the negative things you can say about Paul Heyman and his career,
and there's a lot.
And there are a lot.
Yep.
He does seem to have. There is something about him that is eminently likable.
Yes.
And so even when he wrongs people, he still seems to come out on the other side.
Right.
With people still being willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Anyone else that did some of the things that a younger Paul Heyman did would have been blackballed from this industry. And I don't know if it's purely a talent thing or if it's a political politics thing. It's a combination of a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But he is a remarkable manager. He has a remarkable mind for the creative side and is one hell of a promo. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just, it's really crazy to see Paul Heyman. And again, being a teenager obsessed with ECW, kind of sort of becoming a 40-year-old man who's obsessed with ECW. Like, to see Paul Heyman then sort of, I watched War Games yesterday.
Right.
And he's still there.
Yep.
He's still in the middle of all of it. And it is a really crazy thing.
It's
to think
wild.
About.
It's wild how constant a presence he has been, even like going back to before WCW, because I was watching AWA on ESPN when he was managing there. I was watching JCP when he was managing there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
And so, I loved the Dangerous Alliance.
Right.
I loved the Midnight Express versus Midnight Express feud.
Mm-hmm.
With him and Cornette.
Yeah, for sure. Man,
he's just one of those guys who it just seems like he's always going to be around. and he's always going to be doing something interesting.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. We just got a Busaiko knee.
Yep.
I don't know if it was called that at this point, but it did not put Lesnar down, just for a 2. Man.
It's just it's wild how much he gets in this match.
Yeah, it's they were just outside the ring. Like, it has become Bryan's control. Like, the last 8 to 10 minutes maybe has been his control. And like, that was not a thing that you saw Brock Lesnar let people do, or the company let people do to Brock.
Right.
The company had a lot of stakes in protecting him also. Like, he's one of the most legit guys they've ever had.
Yep, absolutely. And even when he would lose matches, it would almost always be I wouldn't say necessarily fluke, but something at the end of the match, like Cena hitting him with the chain and lock in the one Extreme Rules match. Something that gave somebody a specific advantage.
Right.
Yeah, just, I mean, like I said earlier, I hadn't seen this match until a couple of weeks ago, and I was blown away by it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Brett loves this match. He talks it up all the time. And I haven't seen it since it happened. But I remember people talking about it. I remember it being a big deal because, again, like they're set up for the F5, dropped Lesnar to his knees and put him in the crossface. Like, it just people freaking out as much as anybody else, like that Danielson would be able to do this. I mean, Lesnar's near tapping out here. We know he doesn't, but he's near it.
Right.
It's, he's got the hand, he's hovering, he's thinking about it. And that it's just not a position. Still to this day, it's a position Lesnar wasn't in very often.
Sorry, I'm giggling. I'm looking away and giggling because I don't want to laugh right into my mic. There is in the Orange Cassidy Maddie Wahlberg match that I was talking about, there is a very similar spot, but in a very OC way.
Okay.
So very fun. So it made me think of that.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that. That's funny. It's funny too that like Wahlberg became Waller.
Yeah,
I guess that's the way you do it when they let you pick your own name.
Right.
When you're not just saddled with something. What was his name?
It's Kyoto.
Kyoto, that's his name. I was gonna say Ciota, but that's not it. Oh
yeah, Mike Kyoto.
F5.
And Lesnar wins.
Yep.
Which is the expected outcome, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
It is what it is, and it's
right.
Like as we said, it was such a great, just such a great match in terms of seeing what Lesnar can do when he sort of steps outside of the box that he had been put in.
Yeah. A Lesnar out of nowhere victory probably happened less than a handful of times.
Yeah.
And to do it to a guy who is that much smaller than him it really is. It's just a really crazy thing. But yeah, that match is excellent. I cannot recommend that enough. I will have the link in the notes so everybody can watch it and I don't get kicked off YouTube for stealing WWE. But yeah, like it is just a really cool thing to watch, and like I'm so out of the WWE. Like it is not a product for me right now. I've tried. I can't. I try my best not to crap all over it because it is a product not aimed at me.
Sure.
But that match specifically very much aimed at me.
Yeah.
Very much the kind of thing that I like from guys they're really cool, and just to see, and in hindsight, in the six years later, it's cool to sort of see where Danielson ended up, sort of his send off, if it is his send off, getting that sort of goodbye that he deserved, that he went out his way, and and still like
with a bag over his head.
Right, with a bag over his head, and an arena full of people crying.
That's right.
But just like a guy that never faltered, seemingly outside. I mean, the injury, but like,
yeah,
a very consistent pro wrestler in person for a 25-year career.
Yeah,
or so.
And even when he was out with the injury,
yeah,
he was still doing good work on television.
Absolutely.
You know, he had the GM run.
Mm-hmm.
He had the stuff on Talking Smack.
Yeah.
Was
he out with injury when he yelled at the Miz?
Yeah, that was I think he was still in the GM role, so that was before he came back.
Nice.
Yeah, so there was all sorts of that stuff, and like, you know, he never stopped being a compelling television character.
Right.
Even when he wasn't wrestling. And I think that was one of the things, like, if you went back to those ROH days, and this is not me saying that he wasn't a good promo, because if you go back and watch some of his ROH promos, especially once he becomes like a fully fledged heel,
yes,
there are some great ones.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know that if you told somebody during his ROH stint that one of these days he is going to be a great television character even when he's not wrestling, I don't know that is necessarily a thing that anybody would have predicted.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. There was a time where it seemed in trend to say that he was a bad promo.
Right.
And I think he was at times a great promo, at times a good promo, and at times an okay promo.
Right.
I don't know that he it was never his strong suit. I think in the beginning of his career, the gap between personality and promo and wrestling was very broad. And he spent the next 20 years tightening that gap.
Yep. And
by the end of the day is one of the most compelling. I mean, this last AEW run is incredibly compelling.
Yep.
The Earth's Champion run is incredibly compelling. Even the Team Hell No stuff, like he put that side of it
watchable.
Yeah, right. Another guy that I don't want to share anything with.
He made 2010's Kane watchable.
Right. So he put those pieces together over his career and ended up in a really great place. I think he hit more home runs in the last 5 years of his career than not. But there were times where he wasn't the best promo. And that's, everybody has something they can work on, and he figured it out. And I think in the early days he did work better as a heel. I think it's easier, it's
sure.
Those marks, those guidelines are easier to hit. It's, cheap heat, still heat.
Yep.
He is a remarkable guy to see put it together, and has really a crazy career. Like to write down his career and see all the things that he hit, the people he wrestled, the places he wrestled, the titles he held. Like there's not many like him in that regard.
Nope.
There's really not. It's really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
But that was a fun match. Thank you for picking. I was excited when you picked that one. I'm excited for everybody's picks. I'm not gonna reveal the other one. So
all right.
We'll have something to listen to. But
sounds good.
But it will be. It's another fun one that I will get copyright hit for if I try and put it on YouTube. But yeah, this was cool. What do you remember the fallout from that match? Because I don't. What was the?
I don't know that there was any because there was a pretty wide gap, I think, between Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
I think Raw wins the night.
Okay.
But I don't know that. I know that I think he goes back to feuding with AJ for the rest of December.
Yeah.
I know this is leading to him versus Kofi at the next WrestleMania.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah. I think Kofi gets a couple of a couple of chances that, for whatever reason, I think Brian like probably cheats a little bit to win, and like it ends up leading to the big Kofi Mania celebration, which is funny to say coming off what happened last night on Raw.
Oh, I watched that. We can talk about that here because I won't talk about it on the regular part of the show.
Sure.
I enjoy the New Day, so I watched that, and I didn't love it. I liked it. I liked the idea.
I thought it was. I hated it because I love them together, and I don't want to see this happen.
For sure.
I kind of liked it as in terms of performance. I thought it was before Big E came out, when Xavier and Kofi were like, "It's not your fault," and it's like, "Are you guys getting divorced?"
Right.
It was like, "Yeah, kind of. I mean, that is kind of what's happening." Yeah. And I thought, while I don't know that I necessarily buy their motivation.
That's my issue. But
it seems to come out of nowhere. But I can suspend my disbelief enough that I think I enjoyed the way Big E took it.
Yes.
And I thought that he played his part really well. I think those two guys are just so hard to dislike that I think in some ways that hampered it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think Big E did a good job of sort of selling his disappointment with them.
Yeah. Yeah. The my biggest issue, and I had put it in the Discord, but like my biggest thing was the girlfriends thing. Oh, you got a girlfriend? I was like, is this really, guys? Because like the if you wanted to be our manager, why weren't you our manager 8 months ago?
Sure.
Why weren't we still on TV for the last 6 months if you wanted to be our manager that bad? That makes sense to me. Like now you want to come around and be with us. Now you want to do this. Just when we're trying to get back into something, now you want to come back and all that.
Right.
But like the fact that like two men in their 40s said to another man, "You got a girlfriend," and we don't like that. I was like, I don't know, like, and then like, and I know that heels aren't supposed to necessarily be reasonable. I know justified heels are more effective, but like, the part of the effectiveness of the heel turn is because I'm like, no, you guys are being stupid. Stop being stupid to Big E. I hate you for this. But like, I was just like, okay. And then they were like, when they said Edge, they're like, they named all the people who came back from neck injuries, and they were like, well, Edge came back, and I was like, 8 years.
Yeah.
It was an 8-year gap. Like, I know that maybe WWE doesn't want me to have that kind of memory for their product.
Right.
But Edge was out for 8 years. Yeah. So I was just like, the angle was right. Like with what took you so long, but some of the execution I just didn't.
Yeah, some of the specifics. The broad strokes were good. Some of the details were lacking.
And I love the New Day, and that's part of it too. They're like, I don't watch Raw. I haven't watched Raw in forever, but I was like, well, the New Day's happening, so I'm gonna tune in because I want to see what they're doing because I love those three guys. It stinks that what happened to Big E. I know that it's a nature of the job, but like, I like those guys a ton, and they're guaranteed Hall of Famers whenever they want to me. Sure. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to tune in. And I was like, all right, well, one, it confirmed that the product still isn't for me, and that's fine. That's sure. Not blaming anybody for anything. And that I'm like, all right, I don't need to tune back in, but if WWE in a year tells me New Day's getting back together, I'll be on my couch watching.
There you go.
So.
There you go.
But I've had you for long enough, I think. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
I'm good.
This has been a joy.
Absolutely.
Thank you for agreeing to do it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We should do it more, both officially and unofficially.
Yeah.
I got the word that was not the actual Lou Bega.
Okay.
But a man dressed as Lou Bega, which...
And was he doing Mambo No. 5 at like karaoke?
I don't know. Everyone's watching these people from the middle of the room on a stage. I'm very confused. Tune into next week's episode of We Need Wrestling when Brett's back, where I spend the opening banter drilling him about Lou Bega, the fake Lou Bega.
Fake Lou Bega.
And
Lou Bega,
and how many times Brett has been propositioned poolside on the cruise ship. Because I'll tell you, the answer is more than 0.
Love it.
But again, thank you so much, pal. This was great, and we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely.
Oh, anything you want to plug?
No, not really.
Okay, cool.
No, you can find me on Blue Sky, DeWiki, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.
Knock it off, nerds!